Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special episode of Timcast IRL. I know that many of you, it is the day before the greatest holiday, the 4th of July, Independence Day. And you're probably out cooking burgers and having a good time, but we still do have an episode for all of you, despite the fact that you're going to be chilling with family. Maybe you'll get around to this show. And so we're not going to be talking about the hard news of the day. We're going to be debating the hard news of the past week, as it is a holiday. And, we want to give you guys an opportunity to spend time with your family, maybe come back and watch this. So the big questions that we have in the past couple of weeks have to do with immigration, have to do with, of course, insurrection. We have a Democrat who won her primary race in New York, but she has been a part of organizations explicitly stating they want to end Western civilization. They want to end America and bring violence to America. The question then is this insurrectionist eligible to hold office in Congress? And as we've discussed this before, people have brought up, but what about Donald Trump and his insurrection? And the argument that both sides point the fingers at each other. So we will be starting off this debate, this discussion, on the issue of the latest temporary protected status ruling, which we'll see maybe around 500,000 to 600,000 people being deported. Before we get started, my friends, head over to timcast.com. Click join now, get in the Discord community. We got special members only stuff for you guys, and it's community. If you're looking for like-minded individuals to talk to, if you want to be a part of something, if you need help starting a project, if you want to support the work that we are doing to make it possible, we can't do it without you. So please consider joining us at timcast.com. That being said, smash the like button, share the show with everyone you've ever met in your life. We got a couple people joining us to have this heated and hopefully hilarious discussion. I hope we can make it funny. Brian, what's going on? Who are you?
What's up, man? I feel like you need to buy me like a studio apartment right down the street now. That's what I think. Brian Shapiro. I've been called worse. I do a show called Pushing the Limits. And that's who I am at PTL Radio Show.
Before the show starts, he's like, how much of a raging lib should I be? Should I go all the way up to 11 or just be calm and nice?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Brian's great. He's nice to you in person, but you get him on the internet and he can crank it up.
Turns on the show.
I mean,
Indeed.
In person, I'm not always nice. Did you see any of the videos I did? Ian was hanging out with me. Ian, am I always nice in person?
No. All right, gentlemen, who's next?
What's up, guys? Siaka here. Siaka Massaquoi, father. I'm lead with that first. Actor, producer. And as you can see, I got my little ones with me, always in my heart. And I am not a raging lib. So let's go.
And then Ian.
I'm just raging.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Within, let's go.
I mean,
The
sunglasses
Jim
on
Morrison,
it. Yeah.
Jim Morrison look going.
Sunglasses
I have
on
bloodshot
inside.
eyes. It's so early in the morning for me.
Ian's tagline says smarter than everyone in Congress.
Oh, perfect. They're catching on.
Ian literally said that he was smarter than everyone in Congress.
I got to start talking myself up more.
But the funny thing is,
So go big.
pragmatically,
Yeah.
we're like, that's not true, Ian. They're smart people. But emotionally, I think, screw everyone in Congress.
Yeah.
All of them.
It gets the point across, whether
Yeah.
it's true or not. True.
My cat is smarter than everyone in
all of
Congress.
you.
Yeah. My dog's pretty smart.
Hey, we also got Kellen on the
On a
buttons.
side,
I didn't
on a
wanna-
side note, I always
No
wanted
man
to
behind
debate an
his.
insurrectionist, so nice to meet you, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm still, then you're still going to be waiting because I don't have anything.
That is true.
Oh,
I was
it's starting.
never,
Here we go.
right? Misdemeanors. I don't know.
Why were you there?
I was there because I wanted to be. I'm an American. What
I know,
do you
but
mean?
why? Why were you there?
Because I wanted to see
Did you think the
history.
election was stolen?
Yeah, I did, and I
did.
still do.
Okay, so you're a tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist then.
I mean, you think it's not, so why would you not?
Where's the evidence of widespread voter fraud?
Well, so you start off with California when they changed the rules so they can make
Where's
it.
the?
That's
I
the
didn't ask you
evidence.
about California.
That's the
Where's
evidence.
the evidence?
Can I start the evidence? Can you let me finish my sentence
Okay,
to continue
so,
this evidence?
So Trump lost California. Is that what you're saying?
No, I didn't
Oh,
say
okay.
that.
Where's the evidence of
The evidence.
widespread
The evidence was in my house when, for 4 to 5 years in my own house, I was getting ballots for people who were dead and didn't live there.
Okay, that's not evidence. That's not evidence of widespread voter fraud.
That's part of the evidence. If you
Wait,
let
hold
somebody
on,
finish
wait,
the
wait.
sentence instead of cutting them off when they
that's not-
finish it, I'm
we-
going, hey.
Semantic point. That is evidence. It's not proof.
right.
Well, so we're looking for evidence.
So
have
let
to-
me give you guys a quick little breakdown of this. Is important for all the people who are probably mad at me saying, "What do you mean?" So here's a scenario I like to give: a store clerk gets shot and killed. The police find 9mm bullet casings. They then hear someone says, "Oh, his next door neighbor hated him and they were fighting all the time. I heard him screaming." They go to the neighbor's house and they find 9mm bullet casings in front of his house. That's evidence. Then turns out the guy actually just dropped him when he was leaving, and he's been out of town for 2 weeks, so he couldn't possibly have done it. Not proof, but is evidence. So when you're getting, 10 mail-in votes to someone's house, someone says, this is evidence there could be voter fraud because these are not requested.
Right,
they're lying
right.
around. Does it prove widespread voter fraud?
Well, so that's correct. The statement is, where is the evidence that could prove widespread voter fraud that could have changed the outcome of the 2020 election? Hold on. It's been 6 years. The two idiots that keep, not you, that keep talking about this are Dinesh D'Souza, who is an imbecile, and the My Pillow
pretty smart
idiot.
guy.
Okay. No, he's not a smart guy.
No, he's really
I disagree.
smart. I met him,
2000
hung out
Lies
with him.
was a
It was
bullshit
fantastic.
documentary.
He's a great
So
person.
where is your evidence
Yeah, the
that could
evidence.
prove
So,
that there is widespread voter fraud that Donald Trump won the 2020 election?
So is illegally changing the rules of voting in multiple states?
That's not widespread voter fraud. That's not widespread voter fraud.
How is
you
it not?
like
How is it not?
It was
how is
during-
it? Hold on. Because you say the sentence and you complete it, and I start with 3 words, and then you cut off.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let me talk.
Go ahead.
So it works out this way: if you have 2 to 3 states that change their constitution from a judicial order, which is illegal, that's part of evidence that pushes that illegal voting to be a thing.
I would argue that's proof of widespread voter fraud.
Never been proven in a court of law.
No, hold on.
No,
There's 2 different things to consider. So if your position on this is, were people fraudulently making or filling out ballots? That's a different question from, did executives and judiciaries violate the law and constitution to create a mechanism by which people were legally capable
Yes.
to do these things?
Well, why did they do that?
It doesn't matter. They did it.
Why?
That's illegal.
Why did they do it?
It was illegal.
So does that mean
It doesn't
Donald
matter.
Trump
It
would
was
have won?
illegal.
That means Donald Trump.
I don't know, but it
You
was
don't
a
know.
cheating.
Okay.
That's the whole thing.
well,
That's the whole point, brother. The thing that you guys always miss is that you go, well, if we find there was cheating, that meant Trump won. That's not what the argument is. The argument is, why do you change the rules illegally?
That's not what Donald Trump said.
I don't care. I'm talking about
do.
me.
I do.
Well, great.
That's why a lot of idiots were there on January
when
6th.
when you get Donald Trump to sit down with you and talk to him, then that's the argument you can have with him.
But you
I'm not
support
Donald
him. You
Trump.
were there because you
I'm not.
support
Yes,
Donald
and
Trump.
yes, I do, and I did again 3 times.
Okay, well-
but the point of what I'm looking at, what I look at, Donald Trump can say what he wants. I'm my own man. That's the part you guys also miss. You think everyone's just the same person and think, well, Trump said it, so I'm going to say it. No, I look at it from the standpoint of if a judge sits there and bypasses the constitution of 3 states that allows
let's talk about that.
that allows mail-in voting when they shouldn't have, we have a problem. We have to address it. Nobody even wanted to. Why didn't they? They didn't want to because their guy won.
Okay, so let's
And
talk about that.
Then you go,
So
okay,
you're
this
your
thing
own
wasn't even
man.
fair.
Okay, fine. Well, guess what? You're not a judge. Donald Trump had 61 opportunities in court. They all said that there was no merit. Some of those judges were actually, hold on, let me finish now. Let me finish now. Some of those judges were actually Republican appointed judges. He was 0-61 in the courts. You had a bunch of people that showed up there on January 6th. I would assume you were one of those people that believed in the lies that the election was
lie,
rigged
yeah.
or stolen. You can
was
say
rigged.
that until the cows
I just
come up.
pointed out
Hold on a
I just
second.
pointed out what was rigged.
We are 6 years
Can I just
later.
point out what
I
was
find
rigged?
it very interesting that when Donald Trump loses, it was rigged. When he won in 2016, that seemed to be just fine. When he won in 2024,
still
that
cheating.
seemed to be just fine. Now I understand.
I got to fact check.
I understand. Hold on. I understand that Donald Trump said there was still cheating involved in 2016. I know what you're going to say, Tim, but the fact of the matter is that Republicans still say nothing to see here. Donald Trump won. Same thing in 2024.
We have a fact check. Trump and his campaign filed 4 to 6 lawsuits in 2020 over the election.
And how did that work out?
Between 4 and 6.
There were over 60
if the judge-
court
if the
appearances.
judge-
though.
Those were PACs. Those
Right,
were,
correct.
That's
Yeah.
different.
So for
There was
the
no
Trump-
merit. The judges ruled no merit.
That's actually not correct. But for the Trump and the Trump campaign is between 4 and 6. The issue was not merit. The issue was moot. The issue was, in the instance of many of these suits, they said the amount of ballots that would be overturned would not change the results. Therefore, it's moot. Case dismissed.
Well, the bottom line is, in our entire history of this country, Donald Trump's the only president that has not conceded an election. And I understand that you were not one of.
That's also incorrect. Come on.
Who
Who's
did
the other
who didn't
guy?
concede?
1876.
Okay, well,
No. I mean, this is civil. This is the end of Reconstruction. The presidency was determined by a panel because a similar thing happened where states turned in dueling sets of electors, and then the Democrats and the Republicans sit down like, okay, this is it. Civil war.
all
is
right, so
about to
let's
kick
just
back
say that's
off.
150% correct. Let's say in the past 150 years, Donald Trump is the only president to not concede an election. Now, I understand, and I know this is getting into other territory, but I did a little bit of study on you, and I understand you're not a violent criminal. I understand you weren't one of those people that beat police officers, but this is a really important question because I don't know what your answer is going to be on this. Are you a hostage and a patriot if you beat a cop on January 6th?
It depends on the circumstances.
Okay, so let's go with, I don't know, let's go with Daniel Rodriguez, who assaulted Michael Fanone. Michael Fanone had a stroke because of that.
Next day.
And no, you're talking about Brian Sitnick. I'm talking about Michael Fanone.
This is a question. The next day, question mark?
I know. We'll talk
Next
about,
day,
okay, I didn't know that. I thought that was a statement.
No.
Sicknick got hit with the
Yeah, and I'm happy to
Fire
get into that with
extinguisher,
you
right?
as well.
Different guy?
Okay,
All
because
of
I've
it.
debated
All
Brian
of it.
Sitnick.
All of
But Daniel Rodriguez got 12 years in prison because of him attacking Officer Fanone. He had a stroke. Is that man a hostage and a patriot?
Well, again, it depends on the situation.
I just gave you the situation.
Yeah, but
Is
what
he a
was,
hostage
what was
and a
happening to him
patriot?
before the
What are you
attack?
talking about? What happened to him before? He assaulted a cop. What are you talking about?
What happened? Like, for example, did you see the videos, which I have, when they were standing there peacefully, D.C. Metro comes in, starts firing pepper balls at everyone and forced them back.
So you're saying Michael Fanone deserved to be physically assaulted?
No. I'm saying this. I'm saying scenarios are different for every situation, and we have to talk about it clearly. When they're attacking people, and someone's like, "What am I doing?" and they fight back.
So hold on, let me get this right.
Wait, real quick. Yeah. We got to go back to the chain of events for January 6th before we even get to that point. The barricades are set up around the Capitol building, and at some point, protesters tear them down.
They move them outside. I've seen the video.
Well,
the guy who
they knock the barricades over, push them aside, and enter into a closed property.
By the way, on that, the individual in the video I've seen with my lawyer when I was in D.C. for my case, there's a man removing those barricades. They have yet to even identify.
Of course. Okay, but the point I'm making is I got all that.
Going on.
The point I'm making is, you're bringing up that the police. This is true. The people are all standing on the Capitol. Nobody's smashing anything. Nobody's fighting. Right. And the police start shooting pepper balls and throwing flashbangs.
Right.
However, they've already bypassed the barricades into a closed space and are now swarming around the Capitol. So it's not surprising.
No, that's not. But here, Tim, that's not true. The group that went there was about 25 people who removed the barricades. By the time
I understand, but that's not the point.
No, the point is, if you don't know you're breaking the law and then people are attacking you, you're like, what's going on?
That's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is a lot of people say the police started attacking the crowd, inciting violence. Yeah. But you have to look at it holistically. I understand. And I make this argument all the time. There are tons of people who did not know there was any crime or anything wrong with walking up to a public building.
Right.
The barricades had been removed, and Cenk Uygur screamed at me about this because he didn't know the law. He didn't know what happened. I said, you cannot legally charge someone with trespass without having given them a warning of trespass.
Right.
And if barricades have been physically removed from public grounds, and you're walking your dog and you walk on the sidewalk, you can't trespass that person. But hold on. My point is, when you have, we're not talking about people that are walking around the grounds. We're talking about the specific area where you have what appears to be about 1,000 or so individuals, and they are protesting and someone removed these, and they all came in. It is true a lot of these people, I'd say most of them, did not expect the police to start firing pepper balls or throwing flashbangs. Now let's talk about what the police are experiencing. The police are seeing a crowd of 1,000 people having knocked the barricades down, coming up to the front of the building, and they say, we have to disperse this crowd.
Right.
They're going to use crowd control in that regard. I don't blame either side. I don't blame the individuals who did not know. I blame the individuals who tore the barricades down.
Right.
But listen, we look at like Antifa protests or ICE protests.
Yep, I was just going to say that.
Police are going to initiate crowd control against a group.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
I
understand that, but the crowd control in front of an ICE facility, stopping people from coming and going, and people at this time with the understanding, like myself, that this is okay for you to be walking over here. It doesn't sit in the same mindset when you're sitting there and you're standing there peacefully protesting, as the left was saying, while the fires were behind them for a whole summer.
Who said that?
But
CNN.
You're taking it completely out of context. That video, that's bullshit. What you just
hold on.
What he said is mostly peaceful protests over in Ferguson.
Okay, so
are you kidding me?
When
the buildings were burning.
First of all, there was one CNN anchor that used similar verbiage like that.
Well, I think
there were tens of millions of people that were protesting. Of the tens of millions of people that were protesting across the country, yes, most of those people were not violent. I would even go as far as to say January 6th. There were about 50 to 100,000 people that were there that day. 1,500 people.
250,000.
Was it that much?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
more than that. Great. That proves my point even better. Let's just say 250,000. Of those people, 1,500 people were arrested. About 600 of those people violent. And when you see and when you see a guy like Andrew Paul Johnson, for example, who Donald Trump pardoned. He just got life in prison for sexually molesting 2 children. Bradley Tyler Dykes, who did a Hitler salute while he was physically assaulting police officers. So this bullshit narrative that all these people were getting hit with these pellet or whatever, balls or whatever.
They died from that. What bullshit? What bullshit narrative? There's men.
You're saying the 600 people that assaulted cops,
No,
they all were antagonists. So will you say right now?
I said people.
So will you say right now that some of these people that I have listed, like the officer who put Fanone in a stroke, like Tyler Dykes who did a Hitler salute while he was assaulting cops, these are people who Donald Trump pardoned, the man who you voted for 3 times.
Yes.
Will you call these specific people out and say, no, these are not hostages and patriots?
They were violent. They were violent people.
Are they hostages and patriots?
I don't know their full case. I can't say that.
Christ.
Well,
But they're violent individuals that
You can't-
hold on. There's violent individuals that deserve to get the full extent of the law for their violence. I do agree.
They were
with
pardoned. They didn't serve. They
do
were served a couple
No,
years.
they deserve to be pardoned.
that. So wait,
disagree.
wait.
100%.
Well, you're
under
you
the
are,
law,
you are
what's
morally
the law?
wrong.
Yeah, under the law, what is the law for assaulting a cop? And then when they went to court and they got that, they were sentenced to their time.
Let me.
You
I
want
wanna bring
more?
Ian.
Like,
What was that thing
then that's
where?
something else.
What was that thing where that president pardoned all those insurrectionists that you always
That
like to
was Shays Rebellion. That was
tell me about that?
after the Civil War. The farmers that had gone
Wait,
off,
Civil War?
I'm sorry, the Revolutionary War. The farmers that had gone off to fight in the war now came back, and they were all their farms were in debt because they hadn't been working for years fighting the war. So the government, the city, was like, well, we're not going to take your soft currency anymore, which is like your barter, your trade. We need hard currency to pay back the French. So farmers give us money. And the farmers like, we don't have silver. So they're like, then we're going to take your farms. And all the farmers then go to the Capitol. I think this is up north in Massachusetts or something in that area. And they revolt. They surround the Capitol, the courts. Massive violence. All these people get arrested, and then
Insurrection.
yeah, one of the presidents, I think it was John Adams.
I thought it was Jefferson.
Might have been Jefferson. He
pardoned them all.
and they just. Oh no, it's actually John Hancock, the governor at the time, decided the only way out of this is through it and pardoned everybody. He's like, look, this is past trauma, it's past injury, and there's no way forward if we harm half the country right now. So, we're pardoning everyone and moving forward.
So I want to bring
the
up
ringleaders.
the issue with the first thing I'm going to say. You name these specific individuals, and they sound like bad people. But I don't think it's fair to ask someone to condemn an individual they don't know anything about just on your word. If you said, well, you condemn John Smith, I'd be like, look, I don't know who the guy is.
Give me a little context on who John Smith is, and if you tell me John Smith did a Hitler salute and then he assaulted police officers, Tim, I don't have to know him personally to say that is an awful human being and he deserves everything he gets.
Yeah, no,
you won't say that.
But you are still
Every
incorrect.
scenario is different.
I'm
You know
not
why?
going to just trust what you're saying is true and insult
Look it up.
another person.
Look it up.
No, I understand that. My point is not on this specific individual. By all means, we can say, don't do these things. They're bad things to do. But I'm just saying in a debate to be like, here's one specific individual, here's another.
I'm not giving you one. I can give you plenty. But
And I'm going to explain why these people needed to be pardoned. The first question that anyone needs to ask is, what is the amount of time an individual typically gets on a first offense for assaulting an officer?
Right.
Is it 3 years in solitary? Solitary is considered torture by many countries.
depends if they have a record. It's a case-by-case
That's what I said, first
basis.
offense.
Right. It depends. Now, I can give you my personal opinion on what I think about assaulting police officers, whether it's Black Lives Matter or January 6th. I would say, in my personal opinion, if you assault a police officer, which is a horrific crime,
First offense at a protest.
I think
right or
I think it should be a minimum of 3 to 4 years in jail. If you
these
assault
guys,
a cop,
but this guy
very
did
serious crime.
So this guy did serve that time, and so the issue with the pardons is there are people that probably should not have been pardoned, but the problem is that I have personally met individuals. I met a woman. Her and her husband got 18 months in prison, in federal prison, for misdemeanors because around like 3 or 4 o'clock, I can't remember the exact time. This is after this all violence. Nothing, everything's cleared out. People are already leaving. They were walking through D.C.
Yeah.
They come to the Capitol building where there are no barricades. They're on the other side where there was no violence.
Yeah.
They walked up the stairs where the doors are open, and they walked inside and asked people what was going on. And the police said, there's a protest.
I know what you're talking about. I know this story.
They then left, And then a year later, feds kicked their doors in front of their children and arrested them. And the judge refused to allow them to present evidence that was exculpatory.
So, Tim, that's wrong. And
Indeed.
Hold
on.
The
I agree.
majority of
There's-
those things
there's
are wrong. That they
hundreds-
I'm not,
treated.
and listen, I've been very consistent on my opinions on this.
Yeah, but
I'll even take your circumstance. I believe that there's no question that there were people that were overcharged. There's no question that there were certain situations where it was politically motivated. And in those specific situations, completely agree with everybody in this
so
room.
here's the issue.
But I'm talking
When the
about the most
government-
violent criminals.
Yeah, and I agree.
but again,
did I not just
listen.
say violence, that he deserved to get punished for his violence? Did I not just say that?
Trump called all those people
I don't
hostages
care.
and
Yes,
patriots.
yes,
I do.
but now we have to.
But
we have-
here's the thing. Yeah, you were going to go on the point. Sorry, go ahead.
my point is, when you have a mass prosecutorial event that is proven malicious, we just wipe it out. You have no choice. That's why I brought up Shays Rebellion. Owen Schroyer was permitted to be there. He and the InfoWars guys had a permit to be outside the Capitol doing a rally. He never entered the building. He was walking around with a bullhorn. When they convicted him and sentenced him to he went to federal prison, I think, right, for 2 or 3 months. When he went to prison, when they were sentencing him, they explicitly stated that because in the interim after conviction, he went on his show and spoke politically about his views and support for Trump, he deserved extra time in prison. So when something like that happens, and you know the prosecution has said, we will target you for your politics and we will punish you for supporting Trump, the only thing you can do is say, we are wiping the slate off. Now, with all that being said, these bad guys who hit cops and everything went to prison for 3 years.
I don't think it's enough.
And some got solitary confinement.
Well, change the law. And the biggest problem
It wouldn't matter if you changed the law because he would have pardoned them.
The biggest problem that I have with where people like you come with your arguments is that you focus on those and you don't focus on the innocent people who didn't.
No, I have.
Grandmother. No, you don't.
You're wrong.
Do it with,
You're wrong. You don't
with
listen
this
to my
passion.
show. I know Pam Hempel.
You
I've
don't-
interviewed her.
Right,
I've interviewed
You don't do
people.
it with this passion.
You're wrong.
You don't.
You're wrong.
I've watched enough of you that you don't do
You're
it
wrong.
with this passion.
What people have I
You don't
interviewed
go-
on January
You don't go.
6th?
You don't go out and go, hey, you know what was wrong? The fact they didn't let them use their own evidence off their phone to sit there and prove themselves.
Exculpatory
The fact
evidence
that
was barred.
They wouldn't let them use evidence, man.
So
That's
first-
like the judicial wouldn't do that, and so many people on the other side of the fence sat there and go, "I don't care. You're a problem because you're a Trump
You gotta
supporter."
understand.
That's the
well,
problem.
You
man.
gotta
I
understand
can- first of
Brian's-
all-
you gotta understand Brian's a fascist, and he believes that in judicial proceedings,
Definitely not.
the government should be allowed to bar
Definitely
individuals from bringing in exculpatory evidence.
Can I ask you, what did you say about? I'm definitely not a fascist. What did you say
joking.
about? What did you say about Brian Sitnick? He did die the next day. You don't think it had anything to do with?
No.
what took
I
place
said
that
he
day?
died the next day.
Right.
Right
Did
question.
you feel like what
I
happened
don't
that day
know.
might have played a role?
I don't know. He died of a stroke.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what I do know. Which
Are you
is
aware
not
of what
just-
the
wait,
coroner said?
The coroner said that January 6th did have something to do with it.
Correct.
But when you talk about strokes and you talk about plaque going into your brain, that doesn't happen in a day.
What about the
that happens? Wait, that happens in a lifetime of.
But
bad
hold on.
decisions.
Okay. Well,
We can't just say, "Oh, it's
here's what
only
I'm gonna
because of
say
they
to
that."
said
that.
natural causes.
Okay, but but here's what here's what he also said. He also the medical examiner noted, and you're correct, that the violence and what he endured that day, including getting assaulted with a chemical substance, played a role in his condition.
Yeah.
Now,
what about eating like crap? Does that play a
okay,
role too?
so there.
I look, Ashley Babbitt got shot and killed, so it's like I don't think we
Absolutely.
play. We don't play
But
this.
how many? I mean, how many protesters died that day? How many protesters?
there was
were killed?
another.
5?
There was Ashley Babbitt. There was a woman, I believe, that had a heart attack and she was trampled that day.
Yeah, one guy fell off.
One guy was
he-
pushed.
Listen,
Oh,
it was
really?
a
He was
horrible. It was a horrible day.
But there's
for this
but there's
country.
nobody on the other side going, wow, these people who didn't know what was going on, she shouldn't have been beaten to death. This one woman shouldn't have her brain scrambled and then get kicked out of her apartment because she can't work because she was in a tunnel
It's
and
all
a woman
terrible.
was cracked.
It's
Yes.
all terrible.
Why that's the part we're waiting for. Because all you guys want to do is sit there and go, you beat cops. What about everyone else who had their life ruined? What about the fact that I was on a list that I couldn't fly for 3 years and not charged with a damn crime? That's fascism, and no one ever talks about that.
Here's what I'll
Why don't
say.
we ever talk about
Here's
that?
what
Why
I'll
don't we
say.
ever care about that?
Here's what I'll say.
They beat the cops, and that's it. They beat the cops.
Here's what I'll say.
My whole career was ruined because
Okay.
I just was standing someplace, and they painted.
Your
they
career is
painted.
ruined?
No, was.
He got pardoned, right?
No, until I just leaned all hard in.
Okay,
right.
so here's what I'll say
I was
to
like, I'm
that.
done with the left.
Here's
Just
my
roll with
number
it.
one concern.
Right.
Okay, beyond somebody's career, I think about the families who have lost loved ones. I think about the officers who have traumatic brain injury. I think about people who have injuries that they have to suffer through for the rest of their lives. The
a lot of them
140
were
officers,
J6ers.
the
A lot of them were
140
J6ers that were just standing
again,
there, bro.
Again,
how come you don't think about them? And this has proved my point because as you're bringing out who
see,
you think about,
you didn't
don't
hear
even
what I
go
just
to
said. The problem is you don't
think
listen.
about the 106 police officers that you were going to go down the list that who had injuries, but you didn't open a word about the guy who was pushed off the stairs.
You're not listening to my words, so I'll repeat myself once again. The people who were injured, yes, there were officers that had traumatic brain injury, but anybody who was injured that day that didn't commit any crimes, I absolutely feel for.
So why? Let me ask you, why do you not see the government go after these people in a way that wasn't even reasonable? And they ruined their lives, bro. And I don't hear a word. I don't hear a word from the other side about average people having the weight of the most powerful government. And the other side I don't hear is the fact that the lack of security. No one goes, how did these random people just get in here? As opposed to, it's supposed to be the most protected areas. Yet if you had your bodyguard, who you said was awesome, if he dropped the ball, you're not going to just be mad at the person that attacked you. You're going to be mad at this individual that you hired to do a certain job.
The president of the United States.
And no, that's not the job. Do you know the law? Who controls the security? Who controls the security?
The law, and I understand.
And who controls the security at that place?
I understand a couple things there. First of all, Donald Trump had the power.
Who
has the power to call in the National Guard? Did he not?
Who controls?
I'm asking you.
Did he not try to?
I'm asking you.
Did he not try to?
What did he do?
Did he not try to?
What did he do that day?
He asked them, do you guys want this?
The January 6th Commission
investigated
investigated
do you want this?
All right, guys.
He said he wanted. Who controls the security at the Capitol?
Donald Trump was the president of the United States.
Who controls?
Donald Trump had the power to call in the National Guard.
That's not the question I asked you.
He did not do that.
That's not the question I asked you.
It's been proven he did not do that. What you said is incorrect.
No, it's not. Can you please answer my question
ahead, Tim,
before we move on? Can you answer that question? Who's in charge of security for the war?
Well, obviously, you could point the finger as well at Nancy Pelosi.
Okay, thank you.
Donald,
Let's move on.
but
Tim, you're going to say?
That proves it.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you,
But
Tim.
Donald Trump called in the National Guard within the flip of
I want to
a couple months back, did he not?
I want to bring this into the modern era.
He didn't do that
because there's a couple things that are going on since then, so we'll move forward. Yeah. But the last thing I'll just say on the issue, because you made a point, is I'll use one example. There's a woman who lives in Alaska. Mm-hmm. The feds raided her home because
a friend of mine.
She looked like somebody who was in the Capitol.
Right.
So they raided her home. I mean, this is pretty crazy. That's not evidence. That's shocking.
Yeah.
So I think the issue that Siaka brings up, that I often bring up, is I sit down with somebody and they say someone punched a cop. I'm like, those people all deserve prison. Assaulted an officer, first offense.
They're not hostage and patriots. They don't deserve money. They didn't deserve
hold on. That's a different question. The people who are violent, the people who tear down barricades and smash windows, all deserve prison. But here's the issue. When I pointed out the majority of people who are actually charged, largely with misdemeanors, you have more than half of the people on the other side of the building where there's no riot. The rioters on one side of the building get in, and they go and open doors or on the other side. Internally, the police themselves open doors.
Right.
Then there's a bunch of people walking around, and what do they see? The doors were opened, and this is a public building.
In my video, you hear me go, is this where they're letting people in?
There were people.
Yep.
There were You have made statements that are incorrect. You've first of all, how many officers let people in, and how many officers were working that day?
But
the one that I saw, there was two cops right there, and then there was a line of cops.
But again,
there was a line of cops.
Can I just
standing there,
respond
not
to what he
doing
just
anything.
said? So some
Not
of those
doing anything.
Some of those
Chatting,
cops,
kicking it.
Some of those cops testified under oath. And some of those cops said, which I completely agree with, makes complete sense to me. If you have one cop per, say, 100 people, and you have an armed officer there, you basically have two choices. Choice number one, you take out your gun, you point it, and maybe start shooting at people, which I think everyone here would agree we didn't want them to do. Number two, you let them in. You have two choices in that situation. Why would you criticize?
Yeah,
Guys.
The third choice is what they did to me. Hey, go back the other way. Okay, officer. Thank you.
You don't think they tried to do that?
They did it for me. I literally.
Hold on.
I literally.
The point I'm bringing up once again, guys, stop. This is what I'm trying to get to. We have already concluded the portion of violent rioters are bad and deserve prison. Now there's some contention there, but we largely agree, so we're moving past that. My question is, when the doors have been opened, and a fine gentleman over here is walking around with no idea what's going on public grounds, and they put him in prison, put him on a no-fly list. You didn't go to jail, did you?
No, I didn't go to jail. Well, only for one night, but they terrorized me.
But
for
again,
3 years.
right. So there are people who went to jail for a year or two, having been walking around doing nothing. This is prosecutorial overreach, and it's malicious.
I got a question about assault. Because if you spit on an officer, that's considered assault. But also if you grab him by the hair and pull him on the ground.
No. Hold on, we got
battery too.
So typically, and there are some jurisdictions where this is different. Assault is putting someone in reasonable fear of harm. Battery is taking an action, a physical contact that results in either harm or embarrassment.
So are there levels of assault where like a guy spit near a cop and then he got 3 years in solitary, and a guy like pushed a cop and got? And
typically, assault on an officer doesn't mean you're spitting near a cop. Assault on an officer means usually attacking a police officer.
Okay.
So I disagree about the doors being open. And by the way, when you have one officer and hundreds of people there, an officer, if you told them, just tell people to go the other way, some of those, some of those officers would laugh at you. That wasn't working. When you have hundreds of angry people that are trying to storm the Capitol, it works with some people, sure.
It worked with our
Okay,
group.
guess what? It worked with you.
Because they talked about it.
Hold on.
And you know what? The problem
it worked with you.
They shouldn't have came to my house with 15 agents
That's
and
a
guns
different-
in my face.
that's a different-
No, but that's
different
the
circumstance.
problem. That's the ultimate
hold on.
problem,
I'll
brother.
get to that in a moment.
That's the thing.
I'll get to that in a moment.
So when you're talking about, there were cops standing
Hold
around.
on.
I was talking to them.
That's a
and they didn't
different-
say shit.
Hold on a
Sorry.
second. Hold on.
He's already been swearing.
I didn't even.
That's what you're talking about. I'm happy to talk about that with you, but that's not what I'm referring to right now.
Right.
All I'm simply saying is maybe with somebody like you, when an officer says, you can't go in here, leave, maybe it would work with somebody like you. I guess it did. But there were people they were violent people, some of them. They weren't listening to Capitol Police. So I'm going back to what I said earlier. You have two choices. When you have people that appear to be a threat to you, that could hurt you, that appear to be violent people, you have two choices if you're an officer with a gun. You either take out your gun and start shooting them, or you let them in. By the way, if you're in a bank, okay, and there's a security guard at the safe, and he says, come right in, does that give you the right to go in there and steal money from the safe? No, of course not.
Stealing's wrong.
Actually, hold on. That does create interesting legal problems.
Maybe, perhaps, but that doesn't mean you can go in there and just steal all the money.
No. Actually, depending on the circumstances, you may have a hard time prosecuting that case.
Right, because
an individual standing in a bank and the security guard says, "No, you're free to enter," and they go, "Oh, okay."
The security guard would be breaking the law.
So here's I got something for you, and the first thing I'm going to tell you is I'm about to say something. You're going to give me an incorrect response. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to say is, get ready for it. January 6th is proven to have been an inside job.
Yep.
Confirmed.
Yep.
And I'm going to prove it to you. I can prove it to you. Now, give me your response first.
So,
and then I'm going to explain to you why it's true, actually.
So, claims that the FBI...
I didn't say that.
Orchestrated January 6th.
I never said that.
You never said that. Okay.
Nope, I said it was inside job.
Okay, by who?
By police.
Okay, so there was an investigation in 2021 of it allegedly being an inside job. That was debunked. The report came out in 2024. I know you didn't. There were no undercover agents that were there. There were 0 full-time undercover FBI employees that were present in the protest.
Okay, wait, no, stop.
Sorry.
I'm just going by the report that came out.
I need this response because this is important for everybody who's listening right now, so I can explain.
Now there were informants that were present.
So the reason why I asked this question in the way that I did, and the reason why I got to pause you, Siaka, is you have changed the definition of inside job to fit this narrative.
Well, who was it? Tell me.
Okay, so hold on. The next thing I want to ask people is, what is your understanding of what an inside job is? Well, so let's start with a bank robbery. When there's a bank robbery and the police are investigating and they say this appears to be an inside job, does this mean that they were undercover federal agents? Does it mean that the head of the bank was in on it? Does it mean that the head of the bank brought in a bunch of 7 or 8 security guards to orchestrate a big robbery? It does not. It could. But typically it refers to a single low-level employee who provided aid to the criminals in some capacity. So an inside job at a bank, almost 80% of the time, 90% of the time, they're not usually referring to the CEO of the bank setting up a robbery. They're referring to a janitor propping open a back door with a broom so that the bad guys can sneak in the back. An inside job just means someone working within this bank aided those criminals.
I understand what your definition is.
So there are a few things to consider. First, did you know that a man was acquitted specifically because the police fanned him into the building?
No, I'm unaware of that.
There is a man who was acquitted. This is early on.
Black dude, right?
I think he's the only
one. He's the gay
He showed
black
video
actor from
where
New
the
York.
police officer waved him into the building, and he points and he's like, and he walked in. They then criminally charged him, and he says, "This officer invited me into the building." That's an inside job. I'm not suggesting the FBI
You think
orchestrated January.
You think the FBI it was an inside job with the FBI?
No, I don't.
You don't. Okay.
Matthew Martin was that guy's name who got acquitted.
And this was a big deal.
Yeah.
And this is when I brought up the point that Cenk Uygur snapped on his show screaming and ranting about. I said, when a cop waves you to come on in, you can't trespass a person who was just asked to enter. Right. Now, there's more. Inside the building, whatever your argument is as to who is violent, or we know that there were a lot of violent people. We know that some people entered the other side of the building, and that's why they weren't charged with felonies. They were charged with misdemeanor trespass.
Right.
However, there is surveillance footage showing the shaman being walked with the police, and they opened the door. That is the definition of an inside job. Now, hold on. I've heard your argument about you have two choices, a gun, or you let him in. But the shaman was by himself, surrounded by 7 or 8 police officers who said, come with me, sir, right this way, and walked him into the Senate chambers.
Yeah, I saw that video.
That is an inside job.
I know. Okay, so let me respond to that real quickly. So as you know, Tim, there are a lot of people on the extreme right that say that it was an FBI inside job. I know you're not saying that.
Right.
But here's the deal, right? Kash Patel, about 6 months ago, made statements saying that there were going to be arrests, that it was an inside job. That they literally have made statements like that within the Trump administration. Mm-hmm. If, in fact, there are people that broke the law and there's some sort of inside job, then where are the arrests? Let's present that evidence in a courtroom. I saw the shaman? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Shaman?
Whatever the fuck his name is.
That's Michael Jackson's little interlude.
I've interviewed that clown.
Jacob Chansley is it?
Yeah, Jacob.
He's not a Trump guy, by the way.
I know, but he's a clown living in his mom's basement. I've interviewed him before. He ran for office. He got destroyed. He got embarrassed. He's got an IQ of about 20. But anyway, that was weird.
That's not fair.
That was weird video. I did see that, and I'm hearing you. All I'm simply saying is, we keep hearing from the Trump administration, inside job. There's going to be arrest. Well, Kash, where the hell are the arrests? I keep hearing these arrests are coming.
Agreed.
Yeah. So like you think you keep hearing it like that. Who do you think's more frustrated about that, you or me?
We all agree we want to see action.
No, but
under the presumption that they're making these claims.
But the point I make on that is the fact that, dude, those arrests vindicate and the belief that we have in so many nonviolent, especially nonviolent, even some that killed themselves, J6ers, want to see.
What do you think about arresting and then pardoning those people?
The ones that the inside.
Yeah. After 3 years of solitary, maybe we'll.
Maybe we'll talk about it. But here again, and we were talking about this earlier. I personally think J6 was more than just like, oh, hey, let's present it as insurrection for one side and let's like freedom fighters for others. To me, part of it was government working on technology to be able to come and find all of us in a certain way. And everyone that crossed that border onto the grass got their phone pings that we talked about before. A lady who was pregnant at the time, just got pregnant, she was standing on the grass. She was put under 9 months of house arrest because she was an insurrection by January 6th. She also then they were threatened to take her baby away because they were being terrorists.
Let me ask you a question.
Did
Donald Trump's behaviors that day bother you at all? 4 hours, he did nothing. He sat on his ass and he did nothing.
His behavior, he said peacefully and patriotically.
I'm not fight like. I'm not talking about the hold on. I'm not talking about just the statements he made before.
Okay.
I'm talking about the 3.5 to 4 hours when he was asked and begged by members of his administration to put out a video.
Okay, wait, hold on.
He did nothing for 3 hours.
So hold on, guys.
3 hours later.
Let's pull it into the future.
Right? Why does Nancy Pelosi not get any?
Here you go with Nancy Pelosi.
So guys,
she's in charge, dude.
Okay, guys.
She's not in charge of the.
We're gonna move forward, and we're gonna try and make.
This is the.
We're gonna move forward because
real quick, please, real quick. This is the problem. It's everything's Trump's fault, but the people who actually can be held responsible for
which is what I'm trying to
why
set
did
up.
Trump call out the National Guard in 5 minutes a couple months ago?
Guys,
why did you have 5 people?
We're gonna mute you guys in 3 seconds because you're starting to debate something we debated 20 minutes ago again.
He brought that up.
Yeah.
So the next question we have is on the merits.
Don't censor me, Tim.
I will censor you, brother. The insurrection question, the behaviors of Donald Trump, and eligibility for office, which brings us halfway to today. So one of the big issues we have right now that's up for debate is this woman, Daria Eliza Chevalier. She has just won her primary, which is it's a de facto win for Congress because she's in a Democrat district.
Right.
She is part of 2 organizations, CUAD. It's been reported. CUAD, which he's reported as a founder of, which is Columbia University Apartheid Divest, as well as its sister organization, I believe it's the National Society for Justice for Palestinians, NSJP. Both of these organizations have put out statements saying that their goals are to destroy either Western civilization or to destroy America by bringing violence to America. Mm-hmm. So this is a stated insurrectionist, I guess, intent and rebellious, etc., of some, as you'd call it. And now there's a question of whether or not she should be allowed in Congress. How can you swear an oath to the Constitution having explicitly stated you intend to destroy this nation? Before we get to that, though, we're going to go halfway with the question of Donald Trump's eligibility. Did Donald Trump incite an insurrection and participate, thus making him ineligible for office?
It's a good question. Jack Smith might have something to say about that when he leaves office. I think Jack Smith has a pretty good case. But it's a very slippery slope. As I ask Trump supporters all the time, and I understand you and I disagree on the 2020 election, but I always ask people, if Donald Trump doesn't lie, and I consider it a lie, that the election was stolen, does January 6th happen? Obviously, the answer is no. Did he incite it? Well, I go back to, if he's not lying about the election every day, months before January 6th, that day does not happen. Now, we'll have to wait and see what happens when he leaves office. My understanding is they did not charge him with incitement. But I would certainly say that if not for Donald Trump lying, saying the election was rigged every day for like almost 2 months before January 6th, it doesn't happen.
Indeed, but that's not legal incitement in any capacity.
It's a slippery slope. It's a gray area. I don't know.
But it's not even a gray area. If I said that, if I publicly defamed you in the most egregious of ways, accusing you of violent crimes against children or whatever, that's not incitement. That's defamation.
I would say dereliction of duty would probably be easier on the day that it happened than incitement. I think that's a better case you could make.
But he's not an insurrectionist.
I understand that.
Right,
but I'm just saying I could probably make a better case for that based on his inaction that day.
So again, by all means, if you want to accuse Trump of some kind of wrongdoing, the principal question is he eligible for office? And Democrats tried in several states to bar him from running for office again under this argument that he incited an insurrection intentionally with the purpose of overthrowing the U.S. government. Now, again, I'm stressing this. This was a principal mainstream liberal position that was held by prominent Democrats across the board in multiple states, and they spent millions, if not tens of millions, to actually try to implement that strategy.
I mean, listen, you could make the same argument about Republicans and Benghazi and the 8 investigations that were led by Republicans into Hillary Clinton. It happens on both sides. They waste money. And I think we should be talking about, more. What we know is that didn't happen, obviously. Donald Trump is the president of the United States.
By all means, you can rag on Hillary or rag on Trump for going after Hillary. The question is, if we want to have a debate on Benghazi, we can. But the question is, did Donald Trump orchestrate and incite an insurrection for the purpose of overthrowing the U.S. government?
Nope. No, who? How many?
Yeah, no. Like I look at Trump like a sausage fingers guy. You know what I mean? Like,
well, his fingers do look like sausages.
But this is my point. When he's dialing the phone, like Kafifi, everybody like, what is Kafifi? Trump sausaged fingers his phone and accidentally pressed send. That's it.
You and I know some of the same people, very prominent people on the right that I've had private conversations with, and in some of those private conversations, Donald Trump has admitted he lost the election. So in private.
So there's an issue there, right? I feel like a lot of the conversations, the left likes to play a semantic game. Mm-hmm. The question is, what is the context of what is being said? So if Donald Trump behind the scenes says, I've lost, what does that mean in full context?
Legally it doesn't really mean anything, but
is he saying they have out-procedured me in a way that is illicit and wrong, but I cannot secure power?
I think we're getting in the weeds here.
Or is he saying the people of America don't like me and have voted against me?
I think we're getting in the weeds here, Tim. I think it's very simple with Donald Trump. I think we all know that the man can't admit he loses at anything. He's a narcissist. I think that's what this comes down to. He doesn't care about election integrity.
But again,
he doesn't care about any of this stuff. He just can't admit that he lost.
That's fine.
That's what it comes down to.
But there is a question of what is he referring to? What did he lose? Did he lose a procedural game against Democrats, or did he lose the will of the American people? Here are two different questions.
I think you can make the argument he maybe perhaps both. I mean, listen, I'll take myself, for example. My vote for Joe Biden was an anti-Donald Trump vote. Joe Biden wasn't my first, second, or third choice. I'll say the same thing about Kamala Harris. Going back to 2020, going back to 2020, I always hear the same argument from MAGA Republicans who claim that, Trump won. He got 81 million votes. Well, let me tell you something. A lot of those votes were anti-Donald Trump votes. Now, I don't think Joe Biden was a horrible president. I don't think Joe Biden is a bad guy. But I can tell you a lot of people voted for Joe Biden, especially in the pandemic during that time, because it was an anti-Trump vote.
Well, let's come to today.
Trump doesn't spread any propaganda.
He doesn't have 6 different stations on your face all day. He doesn't have musical artists talking shit all day. He doesn't have the actors talking shit all day.
Okay.
Not to Kid Rock is one person. You're going to count Kid Rock or an entire Capitol Records?
Have you watched Fox News, Newsmax, or OAN? You've been on Fox News.
So you have 3. I've been on Fox News, OAN.
I've been on
all of them too.
Fox News is a joke of a network.
I've been on all of them.
Wait.
You're talking the number one. Okay. The number one that everyone. It doesn't matter. CNN's not a joke.
You don't think
MSNBC is not a joke? What are you talking about?
CNN sued for $900 million. Did they have to? Who did that?
And you know what? Didn't they just drop their lawsuit against the MyPillow guy?
No.
Didn't they just do that?
I didn't ask you about.
No. But didn't they just drop it? Fox settled. Fox didn't admit any guilt. They settled.
Why did they settle?
Because they were scared cowards. They were scared cowards. If they had waited like Mike Lindell, they would have dropped.
Did OAN settle?
They were cowards too.
Wait.
But Mike Lindell wasn't. Did they drop it against Mike, or did he? What happened to Mike? Did he have to pay him?
So I'll answer.
Did he stand tall?
I'll answer that.
Did he stand tall and they dropped it?
I find it very interesting. That the MyPillow drug addicted idiot that you're defending right
now. So now it matters when. Did they drop the lawsuit?
Wait. I got to stop you there. I'm going to give credit to Hunter Biden for getting clean, and Mike Lindell deserves the exact same respect.
Fair point. I still think Mike might be on something. But anyway, with that being said, I don't think Lindell TV is at the level of some of the bigger networks.
What I'm talking about, bro.
I wouldn't
care.
Say. I wouldn't say.
I'm talking about him personally.
All right. Well, congratulations.
They went
to
after
Mike
him
Lindell and the
personally.
8 people watching Lindell TV. The point.
Him personally stood tall, and then they dropped it.
Wait. Hold on.
The point that I was trying to make.
Lindell won.
Okay. The point that I was trying to make is you use the term propaganda. I just interviewed Hunter Biden last week, okay?
Yes.
The propaganda about his laptop and that he was with underage girls. The propaganda you guys talk about Burisma, but you don't want to talk about the billions of dollars that Donald Trump has made in a crypto scandal. You don't want to talk about the $600 million government contract with Don Jr. You don't want to talk about that stuff, but talk about Hunter Biden's paintings. So if you want to give me the bullshit about propaganda, that's all you guys do.
Was Hunter Biden's laptop, was it suppressed or no during the 2020 election?
What's in the laptop? What did he do?
That's not what I asked you. Don't answer a question with a question. That's women's shit.
Tell me.
No, I'm asking you, was it or not?
Who suppressed it?
So you don't think it was at all?
Wait, hold on.
You don't think it was at all then?
Okay,
tell me.
Facebook.
FBI.
Facebook suppressed it. I think
which would include Instagram,
Twitter at the time
and sharing the link
in the
Twitter
files.
What's
in the laptop?
New York
doesn't matter, man. It's about suppressing information to try to craft the narrative to a certain thing,
would
right?
you say the same thing about the Epstein files?
Hold on.
No, they do matter because I was screaming about the Epstein files before it became cool for your side to actually care about people. Apparently,
not true.
What are you talking about?
Not true. You have no idea.
Give me all the leftists. Give me the prominent leftists that talked about Epstein files before Trump said it was.
I will gladly. First of all, I don't speak for the left. Okay, I'm not okay, but I'm going to tell you my personal.
You want me to?
Well, no, you're a far right wing person. Why would
No. You want me to speak for the right?
So I'm gonna give you my personal opinion on the Epstein files. Okay, here's what I will say: every single Democrat voted to release the files recently. Every single one. Here's what I will say my personal opinion is on the Epstein files. And I've been very consistent on this. Even when Maxwell was facing trial, I said, I don't care whether it's somebody on the left or the right. I don't care if it's Bill Clinton or Donald Trump. Here's what we know right now.
All right, let me tell you guys.
The right was literally, they were campaigning on this. Remember the binders?
Yeah.
Remember Jack Posobiec and all these idiots with the binders out there? How did that work out?
Okay, guys, let me throw some knowledge out there for the average person there who can learn about that Hunter Biden laptop and why I think it's very likely the man will not do a sit-down interview with me. So
I think he will. I disagree.
We'll see. What was relevant in the Hunter Biden laptop? I did not care all that much about the illicit photos. I mean, those call into his question his character. Mm-hmm. People made fun of his teeth because he was getting his teeth redone. Right. I will fully admit, I did not know that was actually dental work getting done. I thought his teeth were actually just bad and he had messed them up. And then people explained to me that photo of his teeth, it's because he's actually getting teeth work. I was like, okay. A few things.
That crack would
there was an email about a China deal. in which he made a reference to 10% held by H for the big guy. Tony Bobulinski did an interview where he basically said this is money being held for the vice president at the time. This is basically we're doing backroom deals with these corporations. The next issue, of course, is the issue of Burisma, where we learned about Hunter Biden receiving money to be on the board of Burisma. Now, the interesting thing is this is deep political stuff that I think the American people need to reconcile, and they don't want to. And that is the response from liberals over the Burisma issue was that this was all in line with U.S. foreign policy. The fact that Joe Biden went to the president and said, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting $1 billion, which is illegal. But it didn't matter if it was legal or illegal because U.S. special interests, CIA, military, etc., wanted this to happen. Big story. It connects to everything, including Iran, so I will keep it succinct. Russia runs Gazprom gas pipelines through Ukraine. They control about 20% of natural gas into Europe. The past 20 years of conflict have largely been centered around getting cheaper gas into Europe for economic expansion. Mm-hmm. We have been hindered, the West has been hindered in quite a many ways. Assad blocked the Qatar-Turkey pipeline. Russia was controlling prices through Gazprom. When we could not alleviate the pressures, Russia then starts running gas through Nord Stream.
Yeah.
And so the CIA blows that up. It was actually a Ukrainian guy. He's been indicted by the German authorities, and it is believed to have been at the behest of the U.S., the CIA, to stop Russia from winning favor over in Europe and putting them in a sphere of influence where Russia has more control. We didn't like that. Bashar al-Assad, ousted largely because he aligned with Russia, would not allow these gas pipelines. So Hunter Biden, there's a former director of counterterror for the CIA on the board of Burisma as well. People need to ask these questions. Mykola Zlochevsky is the founder of Burisma. It's an energy company in Ukraine. The purpose of this company is to create a competitive mechanism by which the U.S. can fight Russian gas power in Europe. Hunter Biden's position on this was, I would argue, of course, there's nepotism. This guy's not getting this job without his dad being the vice president, but it's because they want to put in a high-level, American-aligned insider in a foreign company so that Western and U.S. influence over energy in Ukraine is controlled. They can't put Joe Biden in there. He's literally an elected official. So they need people who are outside of government but are loyal to government and proven so that the West can control this influence. So you get a former director of counterterrorism, and you get Hunter Biden. Now, I'd love to talk to him about this because I'm sure he might just say something like, well, I got a job, and that's all it was.
I did talk to him about it. He gave me a different time frame as to when his father was not the president or the vice president. But here's what I'll say in general terms about this. I think there need to be laws and stricter laws put in place so that family members can't take advantage of who their father is or who their mother is in certain positions. With that being said, yes, of course, he got the Burisma gig. I think it was $50,000 a month, something about.
$70.
No. It's been reported at 80.
Of course, he got that
$1 million a year.
Of course, he got that gig because of who his father is. Of course. With that being said, the levels of corruption that we've seen under Donald Trump are immeasurable.
Okay, but I got to stop.
Jared Kushner, $2.1 billion from the South.
I'm going to stop you because
deal.
I'm bringing up this so that we can have a through line of this conversation around, like, we're moving forward. We absolutely can talk about Trump and all those things you want to say. I don't want to get off this subject because we're talking about the Hunter Biden laptop, why it was relevant.
In the Hunter Biden laptop, and I spoke to him about this. This was when he was suffering from drug addiction. Yes, there's stuff on there, some pictures that don't make him look great. And
I'm trying to say this, like, the reason why I don't want to derail instantly into what Trump has done to Kushner.
Okay, I'm happy to talk about Hunter.
But again, I want to make the point, and I hope the American people understand this. Well, not literally every single person, but those watching. The U.S. government is doing these things all of the time.
Yes,
they're doing it under Obama. They're doing it under Bush, even Trump. There is going to be Western operations that you will despise that they are going to do, and it's going to make things better for you. Now, here's the funny thing where I can wrap this up with a neat little bow. The principal reason that people are pissed off, if like this issue with Biden, and I got to be honest, if they didn't bring gay communism into institutions, schools, movies, and otherwise, people are going to be like, if you said, I'm saying literally, I'm not.
You're not wrong, but it's just.
Listen, if you go to a Trump supporter. And the question you got to ask yourself is, do people genuinely understand their own feelings? The answer is no, absolutely not. This is why people don't have this ability to be introspective. So when I talk to somebody and they say, I can't stand Joe Biden, I'm not going to listen to the words they're saying. I'm going to look at their actions, and I'm going to try and find the underlying causes of stress in their lives. And typically you'll find that most people want to strike at a symbol of what they feel is causing them strife or oppression or something to that effect. The left does it, the right does it. So when you ask a Trump supporter and they're complaining the Hunter Biden laptop,
right?
I'm going to pause. Okay, I'm going to say to you, sir, do you really care that the United States deployed special assets and interests to control natural gas in Europe? I think the answer is no. Right. So why are you mad at the Bidens? They're going to find any reason to point out impropriety.
I agree.
Because, and I'll say this, it comes down to, I went to watch my favorite movie and they made my favorite story, and Anne Boleyn's now a black gay woman. Star Wars sucks. Why is everyone yelling at me? I can't watch basketball anymore. Right. So what happens is when someone watches the BLM riots, they say, why are these people smashing and burning things down and no one's getting arrested? These are the things that affect them on their daily life. They want to play a video game, they're told they can't. So they built up there's an anger they feel because of what is directly impacting them. Then when someone comes to them and say, those Bidens, they're all woke. You know what Hunter Biden did too? He was in Burisma. And they're going to say, they are my enemies. They have made things that I do not like. So now I'm going to latch onto something that normally would not matter to me because it makes them my enemy.
But you had
similarly for Trump.
You had, going back to the Hunter Biden laptop real quickly, and then we could move on. But you had mentioned again the word propaganda. I interviewed a woman who was a lunatic by the name of Tina Peters, who just got out of jail.
Right.
Tina Peters, when I interviewed her a few weeks before she went to jail, claimed she had the hard drive of the Hunter Biden laptop. Now, she is an absolute freaking lunatic. But if you want to talk about propaganda, all the people out there, and listen, there are people that say things, on the right and the left, obviously, that are not true. But that Hunter Biden was with underage, Asian girls, and I heard all this weird bullshit, okay? I'm going to tell you something about Hunter Biden. He's not a perfect man. I've gotten a little chance to get to know him over the last few months or so, and he is a smart guy who struggled through drug addiction, and what he is doing now is admirable. He is helping people that struggle with addiction.
Okay.
He's admirable. He's not perfect. I'm sick of people calling them the Biden crime family, but yet the same people who go after Hunter Biden and go after the laptop and talk about Joe Biden are the people that don't want to talk about the $2.1 billion that Jared Kushner took. They don't want to talk about the levels of corruption.
So
I want consistency.
That's the point. Consistency. When January 6th happened, everyone was an insurrectionist. No one wanted to look into. Hold on, I'm going through the whole thing. This may not have been you, but I'm telling you from sitting on this side of the fence. When you're looking in everything was negative for Trump, and something just like the laptop to go at the very least, the lowest level. Why are they censoring this stuff?
Yeah.
Let's go back to COVID. Hey, man, I heard before everything came out, I heard like these Indian doctors had a report taken off the internet because it was showing what really happened, and you couldn't say anything. And one side was like, well, as long as I wear the mask and take the shot, I'm the good guy. You guys don't deserve to go to restaurants.
Operation Warp Speed, was that a good thing?
I don't really care because I didn't
care.
No.
You voted for Donald Trump. I'm just curious what you're an anti-vaxxer, right?
Yeah. Well, not a necessary anti-vaxxer. I just didn't believe in that thing that came out of nowhere and didn't isolate the virus itself.
So don't take it.
I didn't.
Okay. So what's the problem?
You shouldn't not let me inside something because I didn't take it.
But wait, it was mandated.
First
of all, did they force J6ers in jail to get it?
In jail, they did.
Yeah, they made it. That's crazy.
As in general terms, I almost died of COVID, but in general terms, I've never been pro-mandate. I've also, tell me if you disagree with this personal opinion. I know we're getting into another topic here, but I've always said this should be a personal decision between your personal physician who knows your medical history. Right. As you know, in this country, 2/3 of people in this country have comorbidities. It's horrible. A lot of people that are very unhealthy. I've never said that you should be forced to be vaccinated. But here's my issue, and I think we will agree on this. You shouldn't be telling other people what to do. Don't chastise someone because they are vaccinated. I'm a type 1 juvenile diabetic. And again, I'm not saying you did that.
No, but
I almost
he's blaming
died.
you personally for his diabetes. Yeah. That's the debate.
I get
I've been called diabetes boy before.
Wait, you got to be careful. What if he finds a time machine and goes back?
Go back.
By the way, I'll give this pickup line to Ian. Ian, good pickup line. You're so sweet. You gave me diabetes. It's a very good pickup line. Anyway,
taking that one home with
listen, I've been very consistent on that, right? Nobody should have been forced to have taken the jab. However, don't chastise others for getting vaccinated. You know, I've debated Trump supporters before,
chastising-
and they say, get the vaccine, you liberal. And I said, well, guess what? Trump got vaccinated, you idiot.
Yeah, well,
I mean, these
no,
people
but
are stupid.
here's the difference. Here's the difference. People lost their jobs because they didn't, and no support from the average person. The average person who should be like, dude, you can't fire Joe. Joe's one of my workers. If he's my homie. If he doesn't want to take it, that's his right. That's not what happened. It was get them out of here. They're pariahs. People holding signs. Put them in gas chambers.
So if you own a business,
this is the thing that was going on.
So if you own a business, you don't think you should have the right to do that?
You should have the right if you
For
own a
employees.
business. No. If you own
I
a
don't think
business,
you should.
not for the employees because that's
just asking you.
No, not for employees because under most state constitutions, including ours, you can't discriminate based
So
on
during the
what are
during the
you talking
pandemic, when I was at a radio station, I had to do my show out of my apartment, and nobody was allowed in the radio station. My personal opinion is, if you own a restaurant, you know, you can kick somebody out for wearing a MAGA hat if you want to.
Not in D.C.
Well, in certain places.
No, but D.C. is the one place. It's wild.
But for the most part, you can kick someone out if you don't like their shirt or you know.
Yeah, you can not service. Yeah.
So I'm kind of like,
Not employment.
My
That's a
opinion
big
is
different
if you're running your own business, you can do things the way you want to do as long as you're not like discriminating.
Wait.
This is where the propaganda came in, though. All the major news stations, except even Fox, jumped in there. If you take this, then this will happen. Will be good for society. Those who don't take this is getting in the way. CNN, MSNBC,
Fox News.
Fox News even said that.
Ben Shapiro.
There was Ben Shapiro, who at the time I was like, "What the hell?"
So here's
is he
the thing.
doing?
Here's my response to that. Okay, real
listen up,
quickly.
gang.
Let me
get
just
the vaccine.
Let me
Yeah.
just.
He's like, "You're stupid if you don't," and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, "Wait a second, bro."
Benjamin Netanyahu could bomb every country in the world, and I'll support it.
What are we doing?
Anyway, no,
let's reel it back in. I love you, Ben.
Listen,
We got the new
I'm
movie
coming.
coming out.
You know, your experience on January 6th. You're obviously very passionate about. Okay, I'm giving you my experience on COVID, right? And there's a reason why I'm saying this. You know, before the first vaccine came out, I almost died. I was in the ICU for 2 weeks. I got the vaccine after that, got COVID a couple more times. I had the sniffles, right? It saved my life. That's my personal,
And
story on it. But here's what I've been
so
very
happy for you, to be
thank
honest
you.
with you.
I've been very
Seriously.
consistent
it
on this.
paralyzed Brandon.
The world wasn't ready
Temporarily.
for this, okay? I had a problem with the way Donald Trump handled it. Example, Herman Cain. Let's talk about him for a moment. I've interviewed Herman Cain.
Yeah.
Was a really nice guy. So Donald Trump was holding these rallies when we were losing 2,000 to 3,000 people a day. He made, or his people in his group, made people sign waivers basically saying that if you got COVID, you can't sue us, right? Herman Cain is a guy who suffered through cancer and survived it. He wasn't wearing a mask, went to one of his rallies, got COVID, died a week or two later. I believe during that time that was very irresponsible. Now, I'm not saying everything was perfect. I'm not saying masks were, but here's last thing I'll say on this, and I'll land my plane here. I don't listen to idiots on CNN or Fox News that don't have any medical credentials at all telling me what I should do with my life when it comes to that.
No,
stuff.
hold on,
People
hold
that
on,
did
hold on.
have medical,
Hold on.
a lot of them sent people off.
Okay, guys. Okay. The problem is not Donald Trump making statements. It's Dr. Peter McCullough. It is
Right.
Dr. Drew. It is Robert Malone.
Who's that African chick that was literally like
what's her name?
ruined? Her career
There are
was ruined.
medical
She was like this-
doctors that came out, and guess what we've learned since then? They were correct. In fact, Nature.com. So this is a Nature.com article that caused a splash back in April. mRNA vaccine immunity is enhanced by hepatocyte detargeting and not dependent on dendritic cell expression. In layman's terms, there were a few questions that came out during COVID pertaining to the vaccine around myocarditis, pericarditis, immunity itself. One of the big areas of contention was that I think, there's a famous Rachel Maddow clip where she goes, what we know now is that if you get this thing, it stops with you. That's it.
Well, that was wrong.
Indeed, it was wrong. This is important because it evolved from the vaccine will stop it to it's 90% effective, it's 80% effective. When it turns out, actually, this study shows it was not effective at all.
Right.
What this study shows is a couple of things. The mRNA vaccine technology could not it's called addressing. So the idea is this. Initially, they were hopeful. Well, we got a lot to talk about. Let's go back in time. They've been researching mRNA technologies for decades. They've never been able to figure out what's called addressing. That is, if you're going to deliver RNA sequences through fatty lipid particles, you need them to target specific cells so that they work, but they don't know how to do it. That's why they've never actually rolled this technology out, and they've been working on it since the 80s. So what happens is, initially they say you get the vaccine in your arm, The vaccine stays in your arm, targets the muscles. The muscles will receive RNA, which programs them to produce spike protein. White blood cells will then attack those cells, destroy them, and create an immunity to the spike protein, which will then, when the coronavirus comes in your system, the white blood cells will see the spike proteins and attack them. The problem, they couldn't actually guarantee addressing of the mRNA vaccine. What happened? The vaccine would spread through the body. One big outcome, according to Stanford, was that it would target heart muscle cells.
Right.
And this would then cause heart muscle cells to produce spike protein, and then it would cause the body's immune system to attack heart cells, resulting in myocarditis and pericarditis. According to Stanford, the rate at which we now know men 30 and under received myo and pericarditis was 1 in 16,750. That is not a rare side effect.
Yeah.
Common side effects are called 1 in 300,000. That's common. So what is it when it's 1 in 16,000? Right. So we were seeing a wave. Now, here's the scary thing. Myo and pericarditis are typically believed to shorten lifespan by about 7 years on average per person. Wow. So we saw massive amounts of this. I have family members personally affected by this. Now it gets scarier. Brian, this one's important for you with nature.com. What they found was if the mRNA vaccine traveled out of the muscle, which it did in most people because they could not address it properly, if it got into the liver, it did the inverse and made you more likely to get COVID multiple times. When the mRNA hit liver cells, it told the body to tolerate the spike protein. And thus, people kept getting COVID over and over again. Now, the crazy thing is, there was a conspiracy theory that people had, these people who were, these doctors who were called crazy whack jobs,
right,
that if you got the vaccine, you were more likely to get COVID. And they said, that's insane. Now, they made the argument first it was going to stop it. Then they said it was 90% effective, 80%.
Yeah.
There were doctors saying, no, if you get this, you're going to get COVID more.
Right.
And they said, now that's just crazy. It may not stop it perfectly for everybody, but they said it would reduce the severity of symptoms. We now know, nature.com, this is a huge, huge study that freaked everybody out. If the mRNA went into your liver, you are going to get COVID more forever.
Yeah, but that Stanford study, I believe that you are referring to, also said in that study that if you get COVID, you are 10 times more likely to get myocarditis. That is what they
100%. Now combine it with this. You are more likely to get COVID if it affects your liver cells.
Which
myocarditis, which is more likely to cause myo and pericarditis.
So here's what I would say in general terms, right? And I think we all could agree on this. Every vaccine that you take has its risks, perhaps some more than others.
Completely agree. But we're talking about media and government lying to the American people.
Okay, that's the part, bro.
Well, again,
that's the big part. Like all the people that said, hey, I don't trust this thing. So many from doctors to our own government. You can't even participate.
Can I just say something else? Like, you guys, let's throw the science out the window. We're sitting here arguing hepatocyte detargeting. Like, what does it even mean? Let me just tell you a story. My wife and I went to Frederick, Maryland, to get some sushi.
Yeah.
Now, the crazy thing is, so COVID starts, we're in Jersey, and I you notice it a little bit, but I'm in the suburbs. So we have a backyard. I go outside. When I want to go to Walmart across the street, we go to Walmart across the street. There's weird lines, but for the most part, nothing's really going on. Mm-hmm. We end up moving out here. So, and this is like 2021, I think. It's crazy how long this went on. We go to get sushi. It is a very small sushi restaurant in Frederick. You walk up the side of the building, up a ramp. We walk in the front door. We're not wearing masks. And there is, right when you walk in to the host stand, there is a table 3 feet next to us, and no one is wearing masks eating their food. And I walk up and I say, 2. And then he goes, okay. And he grabs menus and goes, you need to put your masks on. And I said, no, nobody's wearing masks. And they're like, no, you have to wear a mask. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand. Like, just us, or like genuinely confused? And he was like, you have to wear a mask. And I said, can I just sit right down in this chair next to me and not wear the mask? And then they were like, no, you have to put the mask on. And then I said, are you kidding me? And all of the staff went, no. And then I was like, we're leaving. How fucking retarded was this country? Yeah. And there were, and this is the Democrat, this is the media. What is going on? Guys, there was no one wearing masks sitting down. Not a single person. And there was a chair next to me. I said, I will sit down right now. I don't want to put a mask on and take it up. What am I going to do? Go like that? That makes literally no sense.
That's the problem.
This was psychotic.
Yeah.
Psychotic.
And the fact that there is one side that doesn't seem to want to go, yeah, that was messed up. Like, we shouldn't have done that.
I mean, I could give you examples of the other side as well. You're saying it's one side.
Right across.
Are there chips in the vaccines? Did the government put chips? Did the government put chips in the vaccine?
But hold on. Wait.
On the other side of USC.
That's not an argument because nobody was mandating you not get the vaccine because they had chips.
Dude, that is a private business. While I disagree with their behavior.
Stop.
That's the point.
This was unconstitutional mandate by executives in Frederick and Maryland. It was not a law. I'm sorry. It was not a law, and it wasn't a private business. The business didn't want to do this. They were forced to under duress by threat. And this is what you got to understand. This was executive mandate, not law. This was a governor saying, do it or else.
Kind of like a king.
So here's my opinion on that. First of all, is it just wrong? Before we get into it, is that just wrong? I think it's wrong to attack people and businesses for
No.
being
Is it wrong
overcautious?
to treat? No. Is it wrong?
I am not attacking the business. Hold on, wait. I am not.
I understand
hold on.
you're saying it's a law.
It's not a law.
It wasn't a law.
I am not attacking a
So
business.
who made the decision then?
The governor.
They put the weight on these.
The governor of Maryland mandates.
Yeah.
So this is what we saw. They said state of emergency mandate. I am not blaming the business because the police threatened them. I am blaming the fascistic government that said, do stupid things, you cow.
California would shut down businesses. They would sit there and find businesses who didn't want to follow their COVID mandates and then tell them and then shut them down. And so then if they try to open up, they would come back and go.
Wait, hold on. Do you remember there was a restaurant in California?
Yes, the guy who's parked his truck in front of the.
No. There was a woman who had a restaurant. She made a video. She said, they told us we can't allow people inside. So we set up tents outside in our parking lot.
My homegirl.
And they said, you can't do that either. And then across the street, Hollywood Production had craft services tents for their
Let me
staff.
ask you both the question.
Insane.
Let me ask you both the question to try to figure out where we stand here, okay? Because I think we can go to extremes on both sides. So hold on a second. Let me ask you both the question. So at the time when at the peak of this, when I think we were losing somewhere around 4,000 to 5,000 people a day, that was the peak. Do you think that would have been an appropriate time to have 60,000 people in a stadium watching a football game, not wearing masks, nothing?
If they so choose.
If they chose,
okay. Well, I disagree with
It's a choice.
I disagree.
What was the death? What was the mortality rate for COVID?
Those who died in COVID.
No. In general, what is the mortality rate?
So obviously these were usually older people, not younger people that were had comorbidities.
No. What was the mortality rate?
I don't know. I don't have the exact stat in front of me. I don't know.
It was twice that of the flu.
Yeah.
Wasn't that zero
So
point something?
0.03.
It was 0.2 or 3.
I thought it was a lot more than that.
That's
and initially we all did too.
That's right there. That's the perfect thing.
How many
thought
people,
it was a lot more?
How many?
That's what they were.
So how many people did we lose?
0.3.
So how many people do we lose from the flu every year on average?
Sorry, hold on. Wait, guys. Just to get the facts straight. For the I don't know what they call this. The age stratified, meaning if you are above a certain age or below a certain age, the mortality rate was between less than 0.01. For people under 40, upwards of 0.1. For those that were over 70, it was between 5 and 20%.
Right.
So this was largely a virus of the elderly.
Well, that would be with the flu as well, and that would be in general with any sickness. If you're under the age of 40, you have a much better chance. By the way, the doctors told me, they said this to me when I was in the ICU. They said, Brian, if you weren't in your 30s, I think I was like somewhere around 40, late 30s, they told me, if you were in your 60s, you would not have made it. So I think that's rather obvious, right? Your immune system is going to be stronger. Right. So that doesn't surprise me at all. But this was let's just be clear here. This was a very deadly virus that killed millions of people.
That's not the point.
So
Brian,
just real quick.
Brian,
very important.
Point was like when anyone said opposite the narrative, you were cut out of polite society. That was the problem. That's it. I'm not saying that if you wanted to get shot up all day, dude, go ahead. If I go, you know what? I don't know if I trust this thing they just came out with last week and they hadn't isolated the virus.
Here's the point.
Should I still be able to go to the movie theater if I want to? Shouldn't Gavin Newsom not sit there and go, we're shutting you down? Shouldn't San Francisco not allow 74% of all black
How many more
businesses?
people do you think would have died?
Never.
How many more people do you think would have died if everything was open?
I don't know. Honestly, it probably been more like Sweden, where they did herd immunity and they let people be, and their death rate was just completely plummeted.
We
compared
had
to
one of the
US.
worst death rates, correct me if I'm wrong, in the world per
Because
capita.
we kept people away from the sun. Vitamin D was a big fighter of this. And we told people to stay inside and cover your face and breathe into your own snot.
I've maintained,
like, that's insane.
I've maintained.
That's insane, is it not?
I've maintained the same opinion that I always have, which is this. Infectious disease doctors, my personal physicians, while they're not always going to be right, I will certainly listen to those that have the medical experience than idiots in the media, people that have no medical experience at all. Doesn't mean they're always going to be right. Clearly, there were mistakes made. And by the way, if you want to go toward politically the mistakes that were made and people that were saying things or using COVID press conferences and using them as campaign rallies,
Well,
I'd be happy to go into that with you as well, and Donald Trump's failings. But I will say this. There were a lot of mistakes made all over the world, including the United States. We were not ready for a global pandemic. A lot of mistakes were made. A lot of lives were lost. I think we all know somebody that died of COVID, and it's tragic. It's horrible.
I don't. We know people in states. We saw the results and decided not to follow that. We saw what Sweden did, and they came out with papers saying,
Who was the person who left it up to the states?
They're like, nah, it was Trump. Which is
No,
great.
that's not true. That's not true. You're wrong. Thomas Jefferson. I'm not kidding.
Had a couple of fact checks.
The federal law doesn't have the ability to go in and tell a state how their executive is supposed to handle things like
Ian's fact checking.
The doctor that mentioned earlier, the African American physician that was banned across, Dr. Stella Emanuel.
Is that the demon sperm doctor?
I don't know.
Yes, I believe.
Is that the one who believed in demon sperm?
Yeah.
Very credible.
Hopefully.
Very credible.
The United States also did have the highest raw number of COVID deaths annually, upwards of 900,000.
Most of it was from
2 years into the
Say that
pandemic.
again, Ian.
The United States had the highest raw number of COVID deaths globally, surpassing 180,000 by 2020 of August and approaching 900,000 2 years into the pandemic. However, when adjusted for population, it was about equivalent to global deaths.
We had more than China.
Well, according to the numbers, China didn't really release
trust it.
information properly.
Here's the question about that. How many, and I would love for you to check it out, how many had to revise that number of deaths because they were targeting multiple
people
deaths?
with.
Yeah.
There was a famous case.
With that you died. You got in a motorcycle accident.
Exactly. A motorcycle accident in Illinois. This was publicly stated by their chief medical officer and the governor. They said, you need to understand that the listed COVID deaths are not from, but with. And they explicitly stated a man died in a motorcycle crash. He tested positive for COVID. That is a COVID death.
Well, if you
insane.
want to talk about propaganda in the network that you've been on Fox News, Peter Navarro was just on Fox News the other day and just blatantly said, quote, Dr. Fauci created COVID. Now,
Yeah, didn't that come out in Tulsi Gabbard?
But he did.
Yeah, but he did.
He's the one.
Not
Didn't he
from
pay for
Tulsi. This was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
He
didn't it say the gain of function?
intentionally created this virus.
You didn't know that.
Well, listen.
Hold on. This is
everyone
not
knew that.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
This is testified by people working in
NIH, is it? No.
it might have been NIH
Should he
outright
go to
saying-
jail? Should he go to jail?
No, because okay. First of all,
Just
Fauci should go
lying.
to jail for lying to Congress.
Yeah, for lying to Congress.
That's been stated. Newsweek reported that years ago. This story was already confirmed.
Right.
The U.S. was providing funding to the Wuhan coronavirus laboratory, which ultimately resulted in the creation of COVID. There's a question of, did Fauci intentionally create what is called COVID-19 for the purpose of? No. They were doing gain of function. This is what we have definitively. They were doing gain of function research. It resulted in the creation of various coronaviruses. One of them was accidentally leaked from that lab, which becomes COVID-19. This was intentionally created. Now, the question is, did they make a bioweapon to kill people? Was there a big conspiracy? We're not
claim.
anywhere there.
That's
We're not
the-
anywhere there.
that's the
Where we
claim.
are is Dr. Fauci oversaw NIH providing funding to EcoHealth and these other organizations, which were then helping to fund when. So it's circuitous.
That is the language that is a little bit different than the language
When
that
Fauci-
Navarro used on Fox News.
look,
the other
here's
day.
the here's
Wait, real quick. When Fauci was asked, and this is what I really, really love. I love this because it's just semantic retardation. When he was asked by Rand Paul, did you fund gain-of-function research? Fauci goes, we did not fund gain-of-function research in Wuhan. What we did was we brought in viruses and gained them functions. I'm not kidding. Imagine this. And literally watch his statement. That's why people are saying he should go to jail. Imagine if someone said, if you ask me, Tim, is there a door to this studio? And I went, there's absolutely no door to this studio. Yeah. What this studio has is a porthole with a wooden obstacle and a hinge that prevents it from being moved without someone activating a mechanical device. That's what Fauci did. He said, we didn't fund gain-of-function research. What we did was we funded the isolation of viruses through various species and then had those viruses be gained functions by reproducing those viruses. And Rand Paul was like, you are literally describing gain-of-function research. In fact, he held up a piece of paper that said, here's you in your paperwork saying you are funding gain-of-function research in Wuhan. And Fauci's like,
I remember that.
No.
And then Rand Paul campaigned off of that and fundraised off of it. I do remember that.
And the DOJ can't do anything because Joe Biden pardoned that man for everything for 11 years.
So here's the point. All the deaths you're talking about, whether he meant to do it or not, who's responsible?
You think that he? Well, I'm asking you. You think he meant to do
that's
this?
that's not the case.
Yes.
If he did, that's again. That's
let me clarify.
I would say,
what is the purpose of creating a Frankenstein virus? I am not suggesting Fauci was like, I'm going to release this and kill millions. I'm saying he was like, I'm going to make a virus that'll kill millions. Oh crap! It got leaked.
Right.
There's a difference between I want to kill people and I want to make a virus.
If you are responsible, if you create the thing and it kills millions, shouldn't we all call for that person to be held responsible?
Or lying to Congress about it.
Right? Isn't that just a rational position?
Depends on who the millions are, because the H-bomb, we didn't put those guys in jail.
That's what
they just killed the right millions.
We're in war.
No, I like that.
Who won the war, you know?
No,
they just killed the right millions.
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah, but that one was.
I knew we were going into this, obviously, talking about Donald Trump, right? And we're talking about the coronavirus.
Yeah.
I believe that what he did when he was in office, I give him probably an F. Maybe a D-.
What would you have done different?
I wanted to pick your brain on that. What would he have done? So I'll list a number of things and mistakes that he made. Now, I mentioned the rallies he held, which I thought was inappropriate. Okay. And they knew it was inappropriate because that's why they were having people sign waivers because they didn't want to be sued. And people did die because of that. When I was watching his coronavirus press conferences, and I believe probably we all were, right? We were all locked up there. Most of those press conferences were not giving people advice or telling people the seriousness of the virus, most of which he was just bitching and complaining about Joe Biden. It felt like a campaign rally at those press conferences.
That's not what I saw.
Well, that's not what you saw?
When I saw those, he was like, hey,
Did you inject yourself with disinfectant?
Like, no, because he didn't tell me to go.
What did he say?
He didn't tell me to go do that.
Ultra rays.
He was like,
remember
wait. Hold on. No, I just can't do this. Brian, you really got to use Google before you say stuff like this.
What did he say?
There is a UV device that they put in your lungs that fries viruses and bacteria.
And then he used the term disinfectant.
And Trump is what I would describe as a sausage fingers. So when he said, when they said, what were they talking about? Hydrogen, the bleach. They said
the bleach.
Bleaching surfaces will kill these things, and UV rays. He's like, I wonder if there's some kind of like light or disinfectant maybe someone could take internally or inject that would blast
it. Did you see Dr. Burks and the look she was giving when
he did not literally say you should go out there and inject it into your body?
No, I didn't say that. That was being facetious. I remember that press conference very, very well.
But here's the funny thing.
And then the next day, Tim, what did he say when he was asked about it?
I don't know. Listen.
No, I know. Hold on. You should Google it.
Okay.
The next day, he said he was just joking. Why would he say that?
Because he's a sausage fingers.
He was joking.
Okay, no.
That's very appropriate.
No, in the way
very appropriate. No, it wasn't. Nobody was laughing.
No.
Because he was trying to keep things calm instead of getting turned up like everybody on the left was joking.
Yes. He said it because he's bad at PR, okay? Because what he should have said was, because he asked I would call it a half-stupid question. I don't think it's stupid to ask a question when someone's talking about UV light therapy and disinfectants.
Can I respond to that?
Let me finish this point.
Yeah.
It's not stupid to say, is there a way we can use that inside the body? And someone can say two things. One, there are technologies that are being tested for throat viruses and lungs where they will put UV light to kill on the surface. Donald Trump should have responded with, I was just asking a question. I don't know.
Okay, so here's the stupid part. First of all, if he wants to ask that question, you don't do it at the press conference. You do it in private with Dr. Burks. That's number one.
That's not who
number
he
two,
is. That's not who he is.
If this is what, when he knows he says something stupid, or maybe I shouldn't have said that, what does he do? I was just joking.
I agree. He sounds stupid.
To your point, he was just joking, you just said. There was not one person in that room that smiled, including Donald Trump. It wasn't meant as a joke. He said something stupid, okay? Now, if we want to argue it wasn't stupid or there was nothing wrong with him saying that, okay, fine. That wasn't a joke. That was him lying.
He wasn't lying. He was literally, he was like pointing out that he goes, hey, isn't this, isn't this?
Okay, so let's
and you
go
know
with
why
that.
he came and said it was a joke?
Let's go with
because
that.
you know why he went and said it was a joke?
Let's go with
because
that.
Low T's came out and started crying that he even would mention anything. Instead of taking a moment and going, you know what? That can't be real. I'm just move on from it, dude.
Hold on.
I'm just going to move on from it
I find
because
this interesting.
this is what he does.
Just
He says crazy stuff.
Have the quotes.
Trump was right.
Can I just
Trump was right.
Hey,
Trump was right.
Let me respond.
Here you go.
Real quickly.
NIH, I got it for you. Trump was right.
Let me just.
Hold on. While you mock Trump, I will absolutely mock Trump for going, I was just joking. Shut up, Trump. No, you weren't. That being said, wow, I just pulled this up from 2021, where they literally did application of UV light in critically ill patients with severe acute respiratory syndrome, where they found that it did result in a reduction in respiratory SARS-CoV-2 viral burden. Wow. So Trump is mocked and made fun of, and then instead of being instead of just going, well, I'm not a doctor, I was asking a question, or even having the appropriate advisors to say, Mr. President, this therapy does exist. When it comes up, show them. It's 5 years later, and libs are being like, Trump's so dumb. They fucking did it.
Okay, well, I'd love to see the study on how COVID was cured from this, but going...
No, stop. UV light destroys vira and bacteria,
yes.
etc.
Bro, I understand that. It wasn't a cure for COVID.
It's like there's no overall understanding when it comes to Trump or Trump supporters. It's like
endotracheal. This is wild.
You say he says this directly, and the way he said it, it's because he said it this way.
Well,
and there's no context.
I don't understand. I don't understand
That's
the
stuff
statement.
that's
Guys. I want.
Yes, UVC light effectively kills COVID.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, I could go on and on.
This is why when
he said it like that. But here's the thing: he said it like that, and look at the response that he got.
I would love to
look
see
at the
a study
response he got. Instead of going, "Is that? Let me go look."
Well,
it was like, "You're
joking.
crazy,"
and then
because
Trump,
that's what I thought.
And then,
I heard him go.
And then
That's
Trump,
being
Trump, instead of being like, actually, I was right about the whole thing, he goes, no, I was joking.
Well, he wasn't right about the whole thing.
Wavelengths between 200 and 280 nanometers damages the genetic material of the virus.
I mean, here's a proof.
Right.
What happened? Dangerous for humans.
What happened when he mentioned ivermectin and HCQ? What happened in the media when?
No, hold on. Let me pause. Let me start. Wait. I'm gonna start from the beginning.
Yeah.
TechCrunch ran a story that the French were investigating the use of hydroxychloroquine to treat the symptoms of COVID and reduce viral load.
Yeah.
Donald Trump. This is what I love, and I mean that ironically. Trump would see something in the news, then say it. And then the news would immediately invert their position on it.
Yes.
TechCrunch ran the story because we covered it. And they said they're investigating the use of hydroxychloroquine. I went, wow. Then a day later, Trump goes, you hear about this thing they're doing in France with the hydroxychloroquine or whatever it's called? And then all of a sudden the media goes, Trump's an idiot telling you to put fish cleaner in your body.
Well, there were a few people that died doing that.
But that's not what he told.
But hold on.
That's the thing.
Indeed, there are many people who do dumb things. Did you know the story about the executive in Canada who ran full speed out of his window and fell to his death because he was trying to prove that his skyscraper window was bulletproof? So when you come to me and say somebody ate fish cleaner, I'm going to be like, yeah. And 3 women took a selfie in front of a train, and the train hit them too.
Sure.
Like.
There are dumb people everywhere.
They're absolutely, what do we call these Darwin
Awards?
Yeah. There's a lot of people. Again, it goes back to, Brian, like all I think a lot of us want on the right is
a kiss and a pat on the head from Trump.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Finally, that's it. All right. Well, thank you for coming.
Positive encouragement.
We got another
Go to
one.
bed. You want to kiss you on the forehead.
It's like be fair.
All right.
Shit that went down in COVID, there was clearly one side that couldn't say shit.
Let's move on from COVID.
Lose your whole.
I don't even know if it was a side. It was just a way of speaking.
Let's move on.
I just want to touch on the low T statement real quickly.
Okay. Let's move on from the COVID stuff. I want to talk about something modern because we were trying to get to it and the COVID thing happened. So Daria Eliza Chevalier has
Is that a drink? What is that?
She's the woman who
sorry,
won.
I forgot. We mentioned her.
Indeed, she's a Dominican from Florida. She, I believe this. She converted to Islam. She has complained that brown men are, seduced or whatever by colonizer women. She is CUAD and NSJP have said they want to destroy America, bring violence to America. Should she be allowed to swear into Congress?
I think that should be disqualifying when you make a statement like that. Certainly, I wouldn't vote for somebody like that. I wouldn't want somebody representing me. Whether that should be put into law or not is another story. I'm not so, but just my personal opinions. No, I don't think she should be allowed to serve. No,
Brian,
I don't.
Brian,
so
hold on. Tim, I completely agree with you, buddy.
So the question would be,
what do we do?
Should the Republicans in Congress refuse to swear her in?
I think so.
I do.
I think it's disqualifying.
Yeah, I think
when you make a statement like that.
It's disqualifying in a way. It's like, hey,
or if you threaten the execution of 6 elected Democrats, I think that should be disqualified.
Who called for treason for military?
No,
well,
no, that's not what they did.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Do you know what was said in that video? What was said? What was said? What was said?
Hey, if there was an illegal order, you cannot. Hey, make sure.
What they said was nobody should listen to Trump because he's dumb.
Yeah,
and everyone should wage rebellion against the United States.
So basically,
and then they all started dancing.
just like they asked the general, they go, so what's the illegal order?
So you're defending Trump with the
when they were
statements
supposed to
unreal.
So actually, hold on, wait. Let's clarify a few points.
They're playing games of words like the left like to do, because I used to be on the left.
What did he say?
So I can understand that they like to play games.
All right, let's pause for a second. Let's pause, guys. Trump should not have said that these people deserve the death penalty. He should not have. He said it was sedition. Military sedition does carry upwards. So I didn't know this at first when the story came out. I said the penalty for sedition is not death. The penalty for treason is death, and treason is providing aid and comfort to the enemy in a time of war. Sedition is trying to overthrow or
Why can't you
destroy.
just say what
Hold on.
I don't understand that.
How? So
say yeah.
Can I just finish? Right,
go ahead.
Because you're not going to like what's coming next.
Because here we go.
Military sedition. That is, if you have served or do serve. So I think it's what UCMJ. Sedition does carry the penalty of death because it is considered much more egregious if you are in a position of military. Now, what those 6 Democrats did is explicitly illegal, but not anywhere near warranting a death penalty. That is, it is explicitly codified that if you instruct members of the military or federal law enforcement to question their orders, that is a crime.
That's not specifically what they said. They didn't say question order.
It doesn't matter.
If you get an illegal order, don't abide by an illegal order. If it's an illegal order.
Brian, contract law and criminal law do not exist under this idea of textualism. They exist under intent. So if you go to someone and say, do you have the thing? And they go, I have the thing. Do you want to trade a pina colada for the thing? And you go, yes. And then you hand them a stack of money. They don't go, damn, he bought meth, but he was buying pina coladas, so we can't arrest him. They say the language you used had an intent, and the intent will be interpreted by this court, and we will ask a jury to make the determination.
Okay,
so let me just finish. When the intention of those Democrats explicitly was built around, there were billboards put up all over the country telling people, and these were illegal too, saying, do not follow these orders explicitly. That is illegal. And there was a nonprofit doing it. When you have the media and everyone around saying, one, we call this the Tweedledee Tweedledum death threat. The first that happened was a bunch of Democrats came out and said, Trump's orders are illegal,
right? Explicitly.
Then, after that was in the media cycle for a week, these Democrats came out and said, do not follow illegal orders. You cannot play a Tweedledee Tweedledum defense. It doesn't work. Mm-hmm. The point is, the question of the court is, what was the intent of these politicians? The intention was playing on the context that Trump's orders were illegal on billboards, on TV, on talk shows, was to tell ICE agents and Marines to defy their active orders. That's it. That's a crime. End of story.
Yeah, that's
now the death penalty is not correct.
Oh, come on, man. Like, I feel like sometimes people act like they're not just like the reality of things. Like they're sitting there and they're going out and you see billboards around. People are always saying everything his orders that he's putting out are unconstitutional. It's illegal. It's legal. Then you see the video. It's like, don't you like hear the music? They're all trying to paint a certain picture, even if it's not true. Even if it's not true, it's like
that's Donald Trump's entire life.
How do we not see it go down this direction? Like, how do we not see that? How do we not see when you have billboards? Then you have later on a video comes out.
You're
like,
literally describing Donald Trump's entire life.
Okay, fine. I'll grant you that. How do you not see this, bro? How do you not see when COVID, they were sitting there going, if you sit there and you go against the narrative, you're out of some polite society. How do you not see these things? When the music is going in this direction, and as soon as somebody questions it, you're like, wait a minute.
You want to talk about not being able.
Saying, how do we not do that?
You want to be able to talk about not being able to see things? You want to talk about Donald Trump? I would like to do that with you.
I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
I'm talking ultimately to the people on the left and how they treated average people like myself in their career.
I got to stress this here. Hold on, wait, stop. No, I gotta bring this up. I gotta bring this up because Brian, you are is abject wrong. This is not what you signed up for.org. These billboards were all across the country, and this is
wrong about?
This is explicitly a crime.
Wow.
When you have so here's what they did. They had billboards that said a couple of things. One, they said only obey lawful orders, and that's all. And then a link. Others said, "Are you loyal to the Constitution or to ICE?" Because this is over National Guard and Marines working with ICE.
Who put up those billboards?
Private NGOs and PACs.
Okay.
It resulted in this. Now, hold on. This is explicitly illegal. And by all means, I can say, where are they at with arrests? Instructing military members to use encrypted communications is a crime, 100%. Not penalty of death, but this is overtly illegal. Look at this. Be sure to access resources outside the military or government
Why
computer.
did they throw it out in court when Donald Trump tried to
This
go
wasn't
after
thrown
them
out in court.
legally? No,
No,
the six
that.
Democrats specifically.
Because we
forget
are
about
in
the death stuff.
Because there are two countries there are two nations existing in the borders of this country, and there's something called venue selection. I think you would agree that if it goes before, if you have a proceeding in West Virginia, 86% Trump supporting, you are likely going to get a pro-Trump outcome. Do you know why Watson v. RNC, the lawsuit over mail-in votes, is happening in, I think it's Mississippi?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Mississippi?
I think so, yeah.
Do you know why it's happening there?
No.
This is a strategy put in place by Republicans to overturn California's laws.
Right.
But if you sue in California, you'll get California judges who will rule in their own favor and their own interests. So you target the federal issue in a Republican state with Republican federal judges, so you guarantee you get the outcome that you want.
Right. Didn't they just sue the DOJ and the DOJ settle with them?
Who did?
Oh man.
So let me put it like this.
It was a group. They sued them,
So
and the DOJ was like, "All right."
So
just gave up because that's what.
Watson v. RNC probably already came down by the time people are watching this. It may not have. This could effectively end mail-in voting, or in the broad sense, likely just you will not be able to count votes after Election Day, which would mean Republicans would not have lost the 2018 midterms. With this ruling, in 2018, the Democrats ended up winning because 2 or 3 weeks after the election, late arriving ballots flipped it for the Democrats. Mm-hmm. If they rule in Watson v. RNC that you cannot do that, Democrats are not going to win this midterm. That's going to be nuts.
They're not going to win for a lot of.
My point ultimately is, now I'm losing my train of thought. With this story, you have Democrats explicitly telling the military to question their orders. Again, saying obey lawful orders is on the line. The court is going to interpret this on the intent, not on those statements. To the point of venue selection, they go to Mississippi to file this claim against Republicans because what they would do in California is they would refuse to appeal. They would intentionally throw the case so that they can do one of two things. They can get favorable judges to defend them, but they don't want to go to the Supreme Court. So they might give a narrow ruling that you can't appeal or let it die. Trump has used this tactic. I forgot which case it was. We covered it, where there was 2 or 3 people filed a lawsuit against the federal government over something pertaining to the military. And the Trump administration went, you win.
Yeah.
Preventing their ability to appeal to the Supreme Court so they can't get a national level precedent.
In general terms, obviously, there's a difference between questioning an order and believing that you've been asked by a superior for an unlawful order. If you're asked and you believe it's an unlawful order, it is your duty to speak to another superior to question that.
Okay,
If you
let me
believe
ask you a
it's an
question.
unlawful order, that's not against the law.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Oh man.
Do you think, let's say Ian and I are standing outside and there's a big raucous mob screaming and smashing things. I scream to those people, we must kill all Nazis on sight. And then Ian points at you and goes, he's a Nazi. So they run at you with pitchforks and Molotovs and murder you. Should Ian and I get in trouble for what we said individually?
Well, it could be incitement. You could make the case that you incited something to happen. It's possible.
Well,
neither.
it's not because legally, hold on, legally I created no imminent threat.
Right.
So the law for speech becoming incitement is when you say, I want you to do this thing at time.
Right.
So go do this now. I didn't say that. I said, we must kill Nazis. Ian then pointed you and said, you're a Nazi. Neither of us told them to do it.
Right.
I think it's a gray area, and
we call it the Tweedledee Tweedledum
It's a gray area. Listen, I don't know how much time we have left here because I know we were going to debate a little bit about Trump's 18 months. I think that's what we agreed to do a little bit.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
If that's okay, I don't know if we could.
Well, let's just go for it.
Yeah. So there's 2 parts for me when it comes to Donald Trump. Number one's personal. Number 2 is policy. Right.
Right.
I and I vote a little bit differently than maybe some do. I think if you've lived a chaotic life, you're probably going to be a chaotic president. So we can start with the personal stuff and maybe then go to, not you and me, I'm talking about Trump, and then go
We're doing that after the cameras go off.
No, I think you're a nice guy, and then maybe go to some policy stuff because
Yeah.
we don't have a lot of time left.
Right.
You have kids. I'm wondering how you can vote for a man
Right.
with his personal stuff, the cheating, the lying, everything.
Oh, that's the best part.
Stuff that he says.
He's an alpha. He's an alpha.
Yeah.
Well, I would.
Well,
I think
let
he's
me-
the
let-
liable
finish it
sexual
first.
abuse, for
Finish it
example.
first. Yeah,
The attacking Gold Star families. The John McCain statement, which I thought
I don't believe you actually
atrocious.
believe that sexual assault claim against Trump.
E. Jean Carroll, you're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't think
well, let me just say this. You know how I know you don't actually believe it? Because I saw you lay down the second nuts yesterday to a guy who had you had a queen high flush against
I'm
the
a good poker player.
So hold on. And this is funny, but it matters. This was a masterful
laydown.
laydown.
I made a professional laydown.
He's got it went runner, meaning like extremely hard for two diamonds to come out on the turn in the river.
Right.
So it's very unlikely. He has the second best possible hand. And the other's got the best possible hand, which is flush over flush is extremely rare.
Insanely rare hand, yeah.
And he literally said, "I know what you have. You would never do this. You've got the nuts." He shows
Everyone
the
at
queen high
table was,
flush,
like, in shock.
and then he's like, "I'm laying this down." And the guy was like, "You were right." And he flips over the king high flush. The ace is on the board.
Brian.
So how could you see through?
intuition.
My point is this:
Yeah.
I've watched you make similar hands, seeing through the obvious deceptions and plays. You've made good folds. You've made excellent calls. And then in the E. Jean Carroll thing, you're just like, "I just believe this one."
By the way, on a side note,
no way.
I lost a bet to Tim, and he's making me wear. He's not making me wear a Donald Trump hat, and he's putting me in the World Series of Poker. So I figured
He's got to wear a MAGA hat while he
Hey, for
plays the
10
World
grand,
Series.
at least we start at 10 grand.
Yeah,
Right?
but I'm glad you brought that up because now you made my point for me.
Oh yeah.
In poker, we have something called a read. Okay, it's history. No, hold on.
Yeah.
Hear me out on this, Tim. You'll appreciate this. So the read on this individual was he's a tight player. He's not a foolish player. He's not going to be betting with a crazy hand. I think he's a pretty good player. He's a tight player. Here's my read on Donald Trump. It's a poker read. He has all these women that have accused him of rape or sexual assault. He's a womanizer, okay? His own ex-wife in court documents in a deposition said that he raped her, and then she dropped it when he paid her off. Hold on. The poker player...
Sure.
Hold on. Hear me out. 30 seconds. Right. The poker player has a history, okay? No. This wasn't somebody who I just sat down at the table with and I don't know anything about him. If that was the case, I make that call. Donald Trump, this isn't just somebody that randomly a woman said, "Hey, he raped me 30 years ago." No, this is a guy who has a history of womanizing. That's my read. It's my read on Donald Trump.
I'm going to say this.
Can I-
real quick?
Does that not make sense? Am I not making sense?
I want people to understand. I want people to understand this. Like,
does that not make sense, Tim?
But so let me just say this: for people who don't play poker, they need to understand how good of a laydown that was, and this is why I don't believe you. This is why I don't believe you. And I want to explain some things. So first,
I'm not bluffing, Tim. I'm not bluffing.
So hold on. On the flop, there's already a straight present.
Correct.
There are sets. So it was 6-4-3 on the flop.
Correct.
With one diamond, the turn is an ace.
Diamond.
So this means ace of diamonds.
I have the second nut flush draw.
So this is what this means. Someone could have pocket sixes for a set. They could have 6-4. It was a limp pot, meaning tons of players are in.
Right.
There are so many hands that might actually try and make a heavy play by jamming.
Correct.
So to fold the second nuts, where you could be looking at two pair with an ace combo. You could be looking at someone who had a straight but now doesn't believe the other guy's got the flush. Like, the point is, when it comes to players, and you're mentioning their play history. When you are good at poker, you also recognize their play history includes trying to manipulate you based on their play history.
Right.
That is, by all means, you can say that Trump did everything you accuse him of in terms of rape
History.
and that history. But the E. Jean Carroll case is like watching a guy, like. Well, I'm not going to get. I don't want to get too esoteric with poker, so people don't understand. But the E. Jean Carroll case it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
This would be where you would have an ace high. So
Can I ask you a question quickly?
real quick. My point is this: to use a little poker analogy.
Yep.
The E. Jean Carroll case, with everything she described it and how she outlined it, she was wearing a dress that didn't exist.
Donald Trump
Hold on.
Okay.
She was wearing a dress that didn't exist. No one saw them get the most famous men in New York go to the 6th floor of a building. They somehow found an unlocked room, even though they're all locked. Like, nobody stopped them on the way there.
They changed the law to be able to bring the
And that too, none of that adds up. In a traditional poker game, and I know you would do this. It's the moment where you hero call with ace-4 offsuit because you know he's got 6-7 and he missed his straight draw. He's got junk. That's the E. Jean Carroll case. Now, by all means, accuse Trump of everything else, but this case is insane.
And yes, that was a world-class laydown. Thank you for mentioning it. But I appreciate that, Mr. Poole. All right,
I was surprised. I was like, wow.
Yeah. Well, I'm a good poker player. Tim's actually a pretty good poker player too. It's fun playing poker with Tim. But real quickly, and that was true, by the way. I will be wearing a MAGA hat in the main event.
I got him, boys.
I cannot believe I'm going to be doing this, and aren't I wearing a shirt?
You know what though?
Well, no,
Brian?
that's your choice.
You know what
but...
though, Brian? Like that says something more about your character. That it's even though you see the videos.
I have a lot of friends. Anybody who knows me can attest to this. I have a lot of friends on the right.
Well, but here's the other thing too. Let's be.
That's
I'll be.
the difference between I think even you holding these positions and how I've even interacted with some people personally that I know who go.
MAGA head.
Right?
Because we got him, boys.
I got George Santos a paid gig last week.
Oh,
wait.
Putting money in people's pockets.
But I want to be. In all honesty,
yeah, you're right about Trump. What's going on?
We all know that forcing Brian to wear a MAGA hat actually is going to generate a lot of buzz.
I know.
And, it's going to be hilarious.
He's a smart media guy.
We got him.
Can I ask you about each?
And then the last point is
go ahead.
he's going to wear the MAGA hat, and the left is going to go after him like crazy.
Oh, they go after me because I was criticizing Kamala Harris last month, and I said if she runs again, we're fucked. Sorry, excuse my language. But I was called a racist for that. But anyway, to the E. Jean Carroll thing real quickly, and I know we're not really going back into that case too much here, but E. Jean Carroll had the dress that she was wearing, that she claimed she was wearing. And
that dress did not exist at
Donald
the time
Trump
she claimed.
refused to take a DNA test. Why? If he's
wait,
innocent,
hold on,
why
no.
would he do that?
Because this is America.
I got to pause because there's a procedural argument against the you should just submit.
Right.
So
it's America.
I'll give you the really generic example is if you have nothing to hide, why don't you just let them spy on you or read?
Right.
So the very simple argument, surface level. We can talk specifics on the DNA stuff, but the surface level is this. When there's a guy named Moxie Marlon Spike who I interviewed about, I think he started Signal actually. Yeah. And the question is, if you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to hide, what are you worried about? Mm-hmm. And he said, the problem is there are many things that we as a culture believe should be legal but are illegal. And he says marijuana is a really good example. At the time I interviewed him, he said, marijuana is rapidly becoming legal across the country, but how would people know they wanted it to be legal unless they were doing something illegal? Mm. And so the government is procedural. It does not care what you did or why you did it. They will just say, if we can find the crime, we're going to put you in prison for it. So we cannot live in a society that forces people to capitulate to the demands of surveillance or evidence gathering if you've done nothing wrong. The burden has to be on the other party
I
to prove it.
understand, and I know it's a liable case, and it's not a criminal case, and I get all that.
You cannot force a person to submit to your accusations against
I didn't
them.
Say that. I didn't say that.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying this is the argument presented.
Yeah. I understand, but
so
when
it
comes
comes
quickly,
wait, real quick. So when it comes to Trump, that dress did not exist at the time of the allegations, and they were trying to use it to get a DNA sample against Trump. The most honorable thing Trump should and could do is deny and refuse to be submitted to a DNA test over an accusation that is dubious.
Quickly, the point that I was making earlier. Let's just say for argument's sake, you're right. I don't agree. I actually do think it did happen. I'm telling you the truth. But let's just say for argument's sake it didn't, and E. Jean Carroll's a liar. I look at the man's history.
So you wanted to go down the line of
I look at the womanizing. I look at raw dogging a porn
now,
star,
let's pause
then
real
paying her
quick.
off $130,000, cheating on every woman he's ever been with, bragging about going into teenage girls' locker rooms pageant without their permission on the Howard Stern.
There is a reason why.
Locker room. We can pull up the video.
It was a room in a pageant that he ran.
It was a room in a pageant that he ran.
So you're allowed to go in there when they're half naked, and you're okay with that, and brag about it sexually on the Howard Stern show? You have kids, man.
You should actually pull up the clip because it's not how you put them together.
Brother,
is not
are we
laughing and joking about?
Wait, hold on.
You're going to ask the question.
Okay, guys.
Why would I vote?
Wait. Are we I think any point made about the Howard Stern show is instantly just disqualifying.
There were 3 women that were interviewed that said that that's exactly what happened.
Howard
they were
Stern's
half naked
show,
and he walked in.
Okay, Howard Stern's show is intentionally meant to be lewd, lascivious, and antagonistic.
Gross.
And so people go on there and say the craziest things. I just say the Howard Stern show is
even before that, or even
like things done.
Well, the women that were interviewed, were they disqualifying when they actually
on the Howard Stern show? Yep.
No, they were not on the Howard Stern show.
Oh, no.
They were
I'm not talking about those interviews. That's
and I'm
fine.
talking about that incident. If you want to throw away the Howard Stern show, that's one thing. But there are women that confirm that did happen.
That's fine.
Brian.
The argument we're having right now is you mentioned that Trump went on the Howard Stern show and said things. Bro, Howard Stern, what did he do? Like launch hot dogs at women's tits?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean
it's meant to be insane.
But it doesn't mean that what people say is automatically untrue. They may be.
No, but it's not credible.
All right. What would you say about a guy who says he
this is my point.
doesn't respect somebody because they were captured in John McCain? What'd you think about that statement?
I didn't really care to be.
You don't care.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Don't care.
I didn't care.
This
Why?
is a guy who was
You know why?
5 years
You know
was a
why?
POW.
You know why?
He was tortured
Can I
for
tell you
5
why?
years,
Can I
and
tell
you're
you
telling
why?
me you don't
Can I
care?
tell you why? Because the things that I heard about what he was doing while he was tortured and how he had connections with the people.
He didn't want to leave his people behind.
What he had connections with those running the camp. And how he let other people go through worse situations.
The guy dodged the military 5 times, and you're okay with him shitting on someone who was a POW?
I didn't say I was okay with it. I said I don't care.
You don't
care.
care. Well, I do.
No,
people do.
Great. No, they don't.
There's a lot of people in the military that
can I tell you why I decided to vote for him over Kamala Harris or anyone else?
Does any of this stuff bother you at all?
Can I tell you? Can I tell you why?
I want to hear you, but
can I tell you why?
I know, but I just
because Trump is not my God. Trump is a part of policies. The left has killed more people that look like me in the womb than World War II.
How are his policies
working? Hold on. Then in the womb, his policies of pro-life actually helps. His policy, geez, babies dying. Oh my God, 13% of the population actually sick, doing 40% of the killing of babies, bro. That's a big deal to me. The fact that I'm a Christian with kids and want my religions to be out there, that's why. So it's not just about Donald Trump because I don't worship a man. We don't worship men. On the left, they worship Obama. They worshiped Biden, and then they tried to worship Kamala, but it wouldn't carry.
Let me respond.
No, wait. You put up your whole thing. I'm going to tell you why over and over and over. I want less government in my life. Biggest reason is because I lived for 4 years under Biden. Sid took my shit that was in my house without charging me. I couldn't fly, even to come on his show twice. I couldn't fly without people following me. That's why I didn't vote for them, even though you can go down the list of how Trump is this. They were coming after me. They were killing babies. They were promoting death in a community that needs help. They're not sitting there having the dumbest people in their public schools because they've been sitting there lying to them about everything's racist. And now everybody in California, in Chicago, where I'm from, in New York, all these people are dumb. We've lost generations of young men and young boys and young girls to this dumb thing. That's why I didn't vote for the left, and that's why I voted for Donald Trump.
I can raise my voice too, and I can.
Yeah, you do.
Okay, so
you do. Okay, this is passionate.
So let me respond.
And the fact that this guy, he's not my master. He's not my God. So it doesn't matter. It's working out. It's great.
May I respond?
Please go ahead.
Half the time that you just spurged out.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
For the minute and a half.
Whoa,
go ahead.
Spurg is a slur, bro.
Hold on a second. So first of all, let me start by saying this. Okay, you're anti-abortion. Okay, I don't call it pro-life. I call it anti-abortion. But if we're going to talk,
it's pro-life because they're killing life, bro. They're killing life.
5 seconds.
They're killing life. I don't play about that shit. I don't play about that shit. I lost a son myself.
Well, guess what?
So you know what?
Go ahead. Guess what I don't play about?
Go ahead.
Taking health care away from millions of Americans. Taking food.
How are you taking it away?
For 5 seconds.
How are you taking health care away?
Are you going to stop interrupting me,
dude? Are you taking it away?
Wait, just let him finish.
Every other word you're interrupting me, bro.
Right now, because I'm tired of waiting.
Okay, well, guess what? Stop talking and let me finish now. You can have your spurg out again about talking about abortion. That's fine. I disagree with you. They take away food stamps from from millions of Americans. He takes away health care from Americans. It seems to me very interesting that after the baby is born, he's against maternity leave. After the baby is born, you're against all these government programs that can help poor people.
I don't want bigger government. I don't care about that. I don't want bigger government.
You've made it very clear.
Yeah, so I don't care about that. So your point doesn't matter. You voted for the left.
I'll take my hat off too.
You voted for the left.
I'll take my hat off.
Good. We're both bald, but we have different. The thing is, I don't care about those things because those are bigger government. At the end of the day, everything you're talking about is putting people to rely on them. It doesn't matter.
Wait. Okay, hold on.
No, because he started with.
He's got to finish.
How did you vote for this guy who I'm going to list? And I go, you know why? Because of these things.
Okay, brother.
You bring back up instances from the left. I'm like, I don't care about none of that.
He's got to be able to say.
It doesn't matter from my point that I made based on you going, why'd you vote for him?
Dude, you got to let me finish. I've talked for like 10 seconds, dude, okay? There are a lot of government programs out there for talking about policy that Donald Trump has taken away from Americans. The biggest tax breaks for the top 1%. If you care about poor people and people that are living paycheck to paycheck, look at where the economy is at right now. He promised that he would lower all our prices on day one. By the way, this is pro-life, right? No, he didn't.
On day one, it did.
Let me finish.
On day one, it did.
From the time that he took office.
He did.
Are you going to
Okay. I've got something I'm trying to say, but I can't until he finishes.
Yeah, please. 30 seconds if you want to talk about the economy, okay? Based on almost every metric, from the time Donald Trump took office to right now, inflation was up 0.6%. It's 4.2%. It was 3% when he took office. He said he was going to end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours. All I have to do is pick up the phone. There are still people dying. The war is still going on in Ukraine. He said he was going to be a peace president. He said he wasn't going to start a war. How the fuck did that work out? Look at this mess in Iran right now in the Strait of Hormuz. It's open, it's closed, it's open, it's closed. So I want consistency from you. I will respect your opinion when it comes to abortion. We can have a decent conversation about abortion and what I think maybe we can do to work together. But if you care so much about that topic, you should all care about innocent people that are dying. They don't have access to health care. They don't have access to food stamps and government programs that can help these people live. So I want you to have that same passion after the baby is born, not just before the baby is born, because you're a hypocrite.
No, here's the thing. I don't think those things work. Why? Because I actually live in those communities, homie. I watched that shit tear people down for decades. So you want more programs, more government programs that have been destroying the black community? That's what you're sitting here screaming at me about when I've watched it not work. The healthcare doesn't work for them like that. Yes, it does, dude. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What, the government run healthcare, number one, is inflated the price.
Take it away?
The
what are they supposed to do?
Who took it away? They didn't vote for the Obamacare. They didn't vote for it.
What's his healthcare plan?
Donald Trump did not take it away from
What's his healthcare plan?
Donald Trump did not take it away.
What is his replacement plan?
They didn't vote for it.
Then you tell me what his replacement plan is.
Ultimate replacement plan, he said it in his first debate back in 2016. Where is it?
Where's the plan? He hasn't presented it to anybody. Where's the plan?
Okay, so what do you want me to do? Go and get it for him?
No, I want you to admit that the guy that you voted for is a moron.
He said it in the first debate back in 2016. Do you know what he said?
What did he say?
He said what we should do that the government doesn't want to do. It goes, we should put it on the open market and let the market decide.
Where's the plan?
That's all
Where
it
is it?
But these guys won't vote for it because it puts money into the government's pocket.
You're wrong.
What are you talking about? It collects more taxes.
He hasn't presented a plan to the American people in 10 years.
Ian, what do we do?
Said in his first debate.
I'm having the time of my life, dude. I want to go another hour. We're not in a rush.
So you're talking about, why don't he give him the health care? He had nothing to do with them voting care. That's the plan. The free market is the plan. You sit there, you go, put him on more government programs. We literally have watched communities go to the crap because of these government programs. And you're screaming for more of it? Are you insane? The first big government program destroyed the black family, but you want more of that? You want them to sit there and go get soda?
Medicaid destroys the black family? What the hell are you talking about?
Are you listening? The first government program that they were given, which was called the welfare program, homie, that destroyed the black family. That's what we're seeing right now.
So by the way,
that's what we're seeing. And then you want to give these obese individuals who have lower education more crap food.
Yeah, those are the people who voted for Donald Trump.
More crap food.
I agree.
The black community voted for Donald Trump at an 85%.
No, I think
85%, dude.
I understand
85%.
That.
And they're in the squalor. They're at the bottom of the barrel. They decided to partner up with the left.
You're saying that health care
destroys
the black families?
Government-run healthcare does like the rest of the world.
Where's the replacement plan? You haven't given me an answer.
I did. Oh, my God. So did you not hear me say something?
Where can I find it? Hold on.
Wait. Hear me say it?
Where can I find his plan on the internet right now?
I kind of want.
Where can I find the plan?
No. So you said
he has concepts of a plan.
You said that welfare destroyed the black family. Explain an example of what that means.
That meant they started to incentivize I can't even get the word out. Incentivize the women to not have the men in the homes in order to receive money. And the more kids they had, the more money they were going to get without the man being in a home. The home is the first form of government. If you don't have the father, who is the leader, be there, now it's run by those who shouldn't be running the home on their own. Now, this is not the same thing as situations, the guy leaves, he dies, or anything like that. The government came in, and now the government has become the father. I know police officers in Chicago and LA, they get called by single moms all the time because the dad isn't there to rear their children. That has been a problem for 60 plus years. And all I hear you screaming and those on the left is more of the same, as if we're not looking and going, saying. Hold on. If we're not looking and going, you just said more government programs and food stamps.
Wait, bro.
People,
bro. I understand that these policies haven't worked for the black community. I understand that the black family has been destroyed. But when will you learn to shut up and do as you're told?
Welcome to my life, brother. Now, regarding the food stamp thing, you said he took people off food stamps. Are you? I've heard that they've made it so like Pepsi isn't on food stamps.
When we're wrapping up, for sure.
Unless you guys want to go for another 2 hours, because it's a Friday night. We party.
Friday night, dude. Let's play.
Let me just speak in general terms, okay?
Yeah.
As we know, where the economy is at right now in most metrics, this is the point that I was trying to make. We are worse off now than we were a year and a half ago.
Yes, sir.
We can talk about GDP growth. We could talk about the Dow Jones and the SP 500. We could. There's a lot of different metrics that we can go through. We could talk about inflation and in prices. As I mentioned, 4.2%. It was 3%.
I agree with
Hold on a second. But the point I'm trying to make is, and the GDP, which I had mentioned. The point I'm trying to make is we are worse off now economically than we were a year and a half ago. Now, do I think it's great that when people are on welfare? No, I think most people would tell you they'd like to be working. What I don't want in a society, do you remember the delivery driver, the food delivery grandma who went to the White House? I don't want that grandmother to have to work 2 or 3 jobs. I don't want to live in a country where that woman has to work 2 or 3 jobs to try to save her husband's life who's dying of cancer.
I don't either.
And the problem we have right now, yes, a lot of people are struggling.
I know.
I want people to have access to government programs, especially now, to help them. Well, hold on. Let me just land my plane here.
Yeah, I'm
so,
just breathing in.
so I took my hat off. I can't believe I did that. So
Hey!
so out of character. He got me to take my hat off.
Yeah.
Listen, the bottom line is when we get into a war, all of a sudden, $2 billion a day, we can just print money for a war.
Right.
Republicans have no problem printing money for a war, but yet we give the biggest tax breaks to the top 1%. And then the people that, as you said, are on the bottom of the barrel, I want those people to succeed. I would assume you do too. And yes, I don't want them to be on government programs their entire life, but when you have a diabetic that needs to get insulin, okay? Donald Trump signed an executive order. Joe Biden, now I'm forgetting presidents. Yeah. Biden allowed under Plan B and Plan D of your medical coverages, millions of Americans getting insulin capped at $35. Day one, Donald Trump signs an executive order, abolishes it, okay? The problem I have is I want people in this country, in one of the richest countries in the world, to be able to afford health care. 49% of people right now that are working, 49% of people can't afford the health care that they are offered. And I think it's something around 36 or 37% of people that are working. These are not lazy people, aren't even offered health care. Yeah. So the point I was trying to make to you is this. We've heard for 10 years, I'm going to have a plan in 2 weeks, in a month. We heard it in Donald Trump's first administration. By the way, Trump got us $8.2 trillion in debt his first go around. If you want to talk about fiscal responsibility, it ain't Republicans and it's not Donald Trump. And I'm not saying Democrats are perfect either. I never said they were perfect.
Not perfect.
But Trump,
responsible.
Republicans get us more in debt if we're talking about our debt. I want struggling Americans to be able to have a safety net, and I have no problem paying taxes so that they have that safety net. Do I want people on welfare their whole life? Of course I don't. Are there going to be a small percentage of people that are going to take advantage of Medicaid? Of course there are. But that doesn't mean I don't want those people having access. Trump has said a plan is coming. You can say all you want to that he said this, this, and this. The bottom line is there has not been a replacement plan that has been shown to politicians in D.C. He doesn't have a plan.
Do you think that part of the reason why healthcare, much like the college system, once government got involved, inflated the prices, and this goes back into the hand of government. So a lot of those politicians.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, so both right and left. Well, hold on. So both right and left. When this guy said on that debate stage, we just put it on the open market. The first thing I said in 2016 was they're going to try to kill him. And what have we seen since? I would argue with no evidence that both sides do not want government health care to move away from government because they've been making money off it.
Can I give
that's
you a
my
quick
argument
retort to that?
That's where
Obama. You can disagree with Obamacare. There's a lot of Americans that don't like it. That's fine. Okay, it's a plan that is not perfect. However, I want a replacement plan. You have kids, right? If your kid came up to you and said, "Dad, I have a problem. This is going on, blah, 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 blah." As a responsible father, you would say, okay, let's come up with a solution.
Right.
Okay. Donald Trump is the president of the United States. Even when he was out of office, he could have brought people together and said, let's actually come up with a replacement plan. Let's present it to the American people. Let's present it to Congress, and let's see what they think.
I would argue
he hasn't done that.
Honestly, I would argue again that the government on this subject, just like college, there is no will. just like the Save America Act on both sides.
Well,
because I
sure.
think it benefits, honestly, I think it benefits
There's probably
them.
a cure to cancer, right? There's probably a cure for diabetes
Yeah.
right now. I've had
There's no will.
There's a lot of money involved in
Yeah.
this industry.
That's I think in the long
I
run,
agree.
that's where it comes down to.
We have a lot of
Okay.
problems in this country.
Wait, hold on. I heard I agree.
I think
Everyone's
we kinda-
voices came down. We're smiling at each other. I think we're good.
I almost threw my hat at him, but I didn't.
Yeah, I would have caught it, though.
both hats came
I've been working on my reflexes.
The thing with the debate shows is that obviously
I
we're
don't know why
not,
people get
there's,
so upset with me. I'm always so calm.
there's never going to be a conclusion any of the debates other
In the
than
long run.
we're out of time.
Right.
Damn it.
And so, but thanks to everybody who hung out for this passionate, heated, and entertaining Friday special.
It was
You
fun.
got me spitting today, bro.
Spitting
That's
everywhere,
assault.
yelling.
That's
Ian said
assault.
that's assault.
It is.
Bad
Look
reaction.
at that. I got to show you guys. a
But
video.
Next time you see us, I'll be wearing a Trump hat at the World Series of Poker with Tim Pool.
Yeah.
So,
And I'll be taking a selfie with him next to him and all that good stuff.
Indeed, my friends. So, but the only way to really wrap things up is just say thanks for hanging out. We're out of time for this show. Smash the like button, share the show with everyone. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. We've got that. We'll play the trailer for you in a second.
But before we play, since we're running low on time, I brought some gifts.
Oh, okay.
I brought some gifts.
Well, let's have everybody go around, and then we'll give you the final spot. So shout it out. What do you got to say?
Tim, always fun doing the show. Always appreciate it, and can't wait to hang out in Vegas. And my name is Brian Shapiro. I've been called Leprechaun among other things. My YouTube,
And Ben.
Yeah, I've been called the Lion Crying Brian is another one.
No, but you get called
Tim
Ben.
called me that when I
Brian
saw him
Brian,
on
that's
CNN.
what I heard on this video.
Crying Brian, yeah.
Lion crying Brian.
It was actually
At PTL Radio Show on YouTube, the Pushing the Limits Facebook fan page. And I do a show Monday through Friday, noon to 2 Pacific Standard Time, YouTube and Facebook. And I have a new Substack, Pushing the Limits, and then the number 1. And always fun kicking it back with you guys and having a good time.
And I live for this. Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me, everyone. This was wonderful. Good time.
It's so cool. Look at this guy. He's
cool the
just
entire
a cool
time.
guy. Look
He's
at
sitting there
him.
to-
Look like a rock star, man.
super cool.
Take it. Keep it easy, baby.
Could you imagine if Phil was here today? Oh my
It
God.
would have been. It would have been like, yeah. It would have been great.
Yeah.
Would have been playing. We would
You
have
would
been
have
double
started
teaming
yelling
like
when you
that.
guys got hit.
Yeah. Siaka Massaquoi. Follow me on Instagram, X, and where's there? Just one more. YouTube at Siaka_Massaquoi or _Siaka Massaquoi. Thank you guys always for being here. And actually, it was enjoyable because Brian is not as crazy on camera as off camera. So I had to go in the well a few times, and that made
You mean
me.
he's not as crazy off as he is on?
I think he
Oh,
meant what
that's-
he said.
Hold on. That's a lie.
He's not as.
Can I just say
He's
that's a
crazier
lie?
off camera than
Hold
no.
on right
Yeah,
now.
he's right. Tim
Both
was
of
right.
you, that's a lie. First of all, Ian, you saw me at the UFC fight interviewing people. I was crazy.
I've seen you at your
Yes,
best.
yes.
I've seen you
Tim
at your
has
worst.
seen me lose poker hands.
It's true.
I'm crazy.
And then they told him his Phil Hellmuth is perfect. They were like, wow. But
great.
I will stress before the show starts, Brian's like, how far should I go?
Yeah,
Like,
he's
I
like,
think
what's the
people need to
meter?
understand this. Like, if it's I wouldn't call it that he's being fake. It's that he's willing to be more polite if you request that he be.
Right.
Well, it's his show. It's Tim's show.
I found that there's like personas too. Like we're people, but we also have a persona and a role to play when the TV's on. Which
Like people don't know this about me, but I'm actually Chinese, and I normally speak with Chinese accent. I talk like this outside.
that's why I like you.
Listen,
Well,
I don't talk
but
like
also,
anything
but then
else.
also,
I'm gonna do
right
that
here-
next person who walks up to me and says they know me. I'm gonna do a Chinese accent.
This right here is honestly going back to the 2020 real quick. This right here is what I was wishing we did more of because they just shut it down. That's my point. But last thing before I go, you guys, I helped produce one Daily Wire's newest movie called Run, Hide, Fight, Infidels. Think you guys, some crazy Islamic terrorists decide to take over a college campus. And, we got some action-packed stuff happening. It's like Die Hard on the college campus. So I brought hats for everyone.
Nice.
Oh, I'll definitely wear this.
Yeah, except for Brian, because I knew he wouldn't like it. But no, just kidding. I had to give him one. And Brian, I think you're going to like this movie because we actually have, and I just watched it recently, we have nothing but 90s music all over.
I love alternative rock.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a big 90s.
It was playing, and you were telling it in the van. I go, he's going
You want to play the trailer? We got a
By the way,
minute.
you're
let's
the
do
only person probably in I don't know, I feel like I've only done it one other time in the last 10 years where I took my hat off.
That's what I do. Didn't I tell you? I kind of I know how to disarm
The only
people.
person who's ever given Brian a gift, actually.
Yeah, that's true. That
That's
wasn't
all- that's-
herpes? No, I was playing. No, it was
Got to unmute it. The tab itself.
Yeah.
If
We got a trailer.
If you go
Let's
to
hit it.
Vegas, stay at Circus. If you lie in the bed, you might get herpes.
Terror warning in Northern Virginia.
Radical Islam has designs openly on the West.
The FBI thwarted a terror plot on New Year's Eve. Violent attack over the Halloween weekend in Michigan.
Protests on college campuses showing no signs of stopping.
And you may even recognize a sheriff getting shot somewhere in the movie.
So it's a pro-Muslim movie then.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it starts, we open up the Quran and just
Star
start
Myron
with...
Gaines.
Man,
he's not
what
there
I'm
in
excited for is Spider-Man.
Huh?
I'm excited for Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Nice.
Yeah.
Wait,
All right.
whoa, you're not excited for...
I want
You're not
Rounders
excited for
algorithms.
Run High Fight? Come on,
Kidding,
brother.
Of course. All right, everybody. It's been fun. Thank you all so much for hanging out. Enjoy a burger, hot dog, or a slice of pizza on me. Have a beer with the friends. If you're old enough to have a beer with the friends, hang out with your family, have a good time. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll be back on Monday, and we'll see y'all then.